नूर लाइव हुआ है, देख यूट्यूब पे। कैन यू हियर मी?
यस, या हो गया सर, आई एम ऑन इट।
ओके, और ऑडियो है, आ रहा है?
हाँ, ऑडियो देखती हूँ।
ऑडियो क्लियर है ना नूर, अदिति?
हाँ सर।
ठीक है, नो प्रॉब्लम। तो
हाँ, या
अदिति, चल आई विल।
थैंक यू सो मच सर।
अरे
थैंक यू सर।
अभी मैं किसको होस्ट बनाऊं?
मुझे होस्ट बना दो सर।
यस
नूर,
सर, मेक द होस्ट।
नूर को, नूर
या
तुझे?
नूर
या
करो।
सर।
यस, नाउ यू आर होस्ट।
या ओके।
हाँ, मिला ना परमिशन? ओके, ठीक है।
ओके, थैंक यू सो मच सर।
ओके, बाय बाय। तो ये चालू रहेंगे। ओके, बाय बाय
बाय सर, थैंक
बाय।
यू। Is it in Zoom or on Zoom? Aditi? Okay. Aditi, is it I'll be admitting everyone on Zoom ki in Zoom?
I'll be admitting everyone in Zoom.
In Zoom, na?
It's live, by the way, on YouTube.
I forgot.
My is
Is it
being
I'll be admitting?
there are 5 people already watching.
Yeah. I'll be sharing my screen, so just check if it's happening. The video. Okay?
Yeah.
It's playing, no?
Also, for the participants, 1 second. Did you give them the rights to? Yeah, can't
You
hear
can, right? Okay.
I hear it.
I'll share it. I'll start sharing at like 4:30.
But I can't hear it. Check the audio.
Yeah, yeah. You cannot hear it?
No, I can't hear the video. I'm coming in 2 minutes, 1 second.
Yeah. Okay, you're back. Wait. Aditi, don't go. Just I'll start playing again. Just can you hear?
It's coming, it's coming.
out of control, को करके गोल.
Okay. I've stopped sharing. I'll start at 4:30, 4:15 more. I should have start let people in.
So that's the thing. 4:30 bola na, I think.
Yeah, 4:30. Like let them be. I'll give entry at 4:30.
Yeah, 4:30. But the thing is, it's live, so people on YouTube are already watching us.
Okay, ठीक है. Who's recording the meeting? Someone started recording you.
Yeah, it was me. I'm
Okay,
gonna.
so even you can record, क्या?
I'm trying now. The thing is, yesterday when I tried it, what it didn't. So what it does is, once the meeting is completely over, it usually converts it into your laptop. But when I
Okay,
tried it for yesterday, I don't know, it didn't really work. So I need to see
okay.
it. So I'm already recording. So let's see that.
Hmm.
So let's see.
Okay. Sakshi has sent a request. Okay.
Also, Noor, did you give the participants ka this? Matlab, the speakers, they need access like host rights to screen share. Or
Yes.
what we can do
So,
is participants case पे we can give it.
हाँ. Yeah, like उसके ऊपर like we can, right? 3 dots आते हैं. So we give them access. वहाँ पे there's an option. So even you can give them access actually.
1 second, I'm trying to find the thing where.
See, like if I click on your name,
Hmm.
3 dots पे, I can ask you to start a video or whatever. I can give you permission.
Okay, but
Even you can try. Even you can do it.
right now I'm not getting the thing.
Otherwise, we can just make them the co-host and
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So every time the speaker comes, make them the co-host so they can.
yeah. They can easily share the screen. We
Yeah,
can do
because wasn't there an option where you could just allow everyone to?
yeah. It was here, more के अंदर. Uh, wait, it was somewhere. Host tools, yeah, host tools में यहाँ पर था. Allow participants to,
Screen share. हाँ.
yeah. So
Share.
instead of doing this, because then everyone will be able to share,
Yeah.
you can simply make the speaker the co-host and then they can do.
Yeah, I think that's better. So every time a speaker comes, just make them the co-host like directly.
Yeah, we can do that. 10 minutes.
Because right now I'm not getting the option to make someone the co-host.
Yeah.
So I'm also looking at the YouTube ka live.
Okay, you are. Yeah, let me just click that, open that. I think there's a 10-15 second lag, right? In
There's
the,
a live, yeah. That will happen though.
yeah.
On the co-host.
Yeah.
So I'm also looking at the YouTube ka live. Yeah, it's like 10-15 seconds.
You are. Yeah, just click that.
Hmm?
Okay,
I
so
can't
there
hear
are
you.
14 people.
Now there are people waiting to join, but
Hmm.
we need to.
Okay, so the audio is confusing, so I need to put this on Bluetooth phone ka actually.
I to reduce the volume. Like I muted it.
Because we are the ones who will have to share the questions from this to apna this thing,
Uh-huh.
Zoom.
So do you want to type it down or do you want to say it?
We can just say it, no, that'll be much faster. They're not gonna check the chat box यहाँ पर. Because on Zoom also people gonna raise their hands and then ask.
Okay, so you can just say someone from YouTube said.
Yeah, someone, he will just take their name, na? They've joined, उनका
Yeah, that's
नाम
what
है.
I meant. Like whoever.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not using my phones. I'll just remove it and just audio from. Okay. 420 हुआ है.
Okay, now mute yourself.
Yep. Mm.
हाँ हाँ हाँ. एक्झाम कधी आहे? एक्झाम कधी आहे?
एक्झाम ना माहिती लाईक 19 बोलत होते कॉलेजमध्ये.
Aliza, you can try your audio.
Just give me a second.
Yeah.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
Aliza,
fine.
your audio is clear. It's fine.
Noor, we cannot hear the video.
Oh, out of control, oh टोको करके गोल oh टोको करके गोल सीटी पर जाके बोल oh out of control, oh टोको करके गोल oh टोको करके गोल सीटी पर जाके बोल करके गोल ना जाने अंडे का क्या होगा तभी फिर फ्राई होगा पता नहीं अपना क्या होगा सीढ़ी बजा के बोल भैया बजा के बोल अंडे का क्या होगा बात बात पे घबराई दिल पे रख के हाथ उसे तू फुसला ले दिल इडियट है प्यार से उसको समझा ले और घुमाओ सीढ़ी बजा के बोल भैया Out of control, होठों को करके गोल, होठों को करके गोल, सीटे पर जाके बोल. Out of control, होठों को करके गोल, होठों को करके गोल, सीटे पर जाके बोल.
किसी गेम कितना
मिलने की आज तभी फिर फ्राई होगा, कोई ना जाने अपना क्या होगा. सीढ़ी बजा के बोल भैया. बात बात पे घबरा दिल पे रख के हाथ उसे तू फुसला ले, दिल की इडियट है प्यार से उसको समझा ले. और घुमाओ सीढ़ी बजा के बोल भैया. Out of control, होठों को करके गोल, होठों को करके गोल, सीटे पर जाके बोल. Out of control, होठों को करके गोल, होठों को करके गोल, सीटे पर जाके बोल.
यार हमें लगा माजे में
ये काफी अच्छा रहेगा, चना होता है.
चलते नहीं है
बात बात पे घबरा दिल पे रख के हाथ उसे तू फुसला ले, दिल की इडियट है प्यार से उसको समझा ले. और घुमाओ सीढ़ी बजा के बोल भैया. out of control, होठों को करके गोल, होठों को करके गोल, सीटे पर जाके बोल, out of control, होठों को करके गोल, होठों को करके गोल, सीटे पर जाके बोल, जाने अंडे का क्या होगा, लाइफ मिलेगी या तवे पे फ्राई होगा, अरे अपना फ्यूचर क्या होगा, सीढ़ी बजा के बोल भैया, बात बात पे घबरा ले, दिल पे रख के हाथ उसे तो फुसला ले, दिल इडियट है प्यार से उसको समझा ले, होठ घुमाओ सीढ़ी बजा के बोल भैया बोल, ना 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 out of control, होठों को करके गोल, होठों को करके गोल, सीटे पर जाके बोल, out of control, होठों को करके गोल, होठों को करके गोल, सीटे पर जाके बोल, क्या होगा, लाइफ मिलेगी या तवे पे फ्राई होगा, क्या होगा, सीढ़ी बजा के बोल भैया,
Aliza,
Yes, ma'am.
is your network not strong? Why is it breaking like this?
Ma'am, Noor is presenting the video.
Noor, are you there? Darling,
Yes, ma'am.
Noor,
Yes, ma'am. Here.
is your network not strong? Why is the
It
video
is
breaking
strong,
like
ma'am.
this?
There's a problem with the video itself.
Okay.
Yeah. Prachi.
Have people joined the live streaming?
Yes, ma'am, they have.
Okay, thanks.
बात बात पे घबराए दिल पे रख के हाथ उसे तो फिसला ले दिल इडियट है प्यार से उसको समझा ले और घुमाओ सीढ़ी बजा के फोन भैया ना 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 रे out of control होठों को करके गोल होठों को करके गोल सीटे पर जाके बोल out of control होठों को करके गोल होठों को करके गोल सीटे पर जाके बोल जोड़े अंडे का क्या होगा लाइफ मिलेगी या तवे पे फ्राई होगा कोई ना जाने अपना फ्यूचर क्या होगा सीढ़ी बजा के फोन भैया बात बात पे घबराए दिल पे रख के हाथ उसे तो फिसला ले दिल इडियट है प्यार से उसको समझा ले
हाँ
और घुमाओ सीढ़ी बजा के
কেন নিচ্ছিল না চালুই হয়নি এখন অব্দি
Noor, can you please mute everyone?
Okay, that's all. Ma'am, the first speaker is in.
We'll wait for 2 more minutes.
Sure, ma'am.
Alisa, hi, good evening. I think we can start, Alisa.
Yes, ma'am. In this fast-paced world, stress has consumed every aspect of our lives. It is the root of our persistent unhappiness, physiological over-arousal, and increasing social isolation. Stress has become a constant companion that either motivates us to keep ourselves driven or all in all be overwhelmed. It's like a rubber band. A bit of tension helps it hold things together, but pull it too tight and it snaps. That's why managing stress is crucial.
For this reason, we, the students of Department of Psychology, under the guidance of Professor Dr. Meghana Basu Thakur at RDNC College, have organized an international and intercollegiate webinar on the occasion of International Stress Awareness Day, Thriving, Not Just Surviving, Managing Stress in Modern Times. This seminar brings together leading experts, mental health advocates, and students from diverse backgrounds to discuss the causes and consequences of stress, along with innovative approaches to counteract its impact.
Good evening. I, Aliza Mordecai, and my classmate Shravani Gharat will be your hosts for this evening. We are proud to state that a total of 187 individuals have registered for our webinar today. Students and professors from 42 different colleges have joined us today with overwhelming responses, namely from Burhani College, KC College, Thakur College, Sophia College, Baze Kelkar College, and Podar International School. We have here participants from 15 different cities from all over the globe, such as Burhanpur, Ghazipur, Kolkata, Kanpur, New Delhi, Ranchi, Thane, and Singapore.
Our first speaker for today is Advocate Ms. Prachi Pratap. She is a distinguished advocate with over a decade of experience in representing clients in the Supreme Court of India, High Courts, and numerous tribunals. As a partner at Pratap & Co., Prachi handles a diverse range of legal matters, from civil and criminal cases to complex issues in property, matrimonial disputes, insolvency and bankruptcy court cases, corporate law, and service matters. Prachi's extensive credentials include an advocate on record status with the Supreme Court of India. Her practice also extends internationally, where she represents non-resident Indian clients in legal matters in the US, UK, Ireland, and Australia. She is a four-time TED speaker and a recipient of the Forbes Legal Power List 2021 award, recognizing her among the top 100 legal professionals in India. Prachi is committed to making a meaningful impact both within the legal profession and in society at large. Good evening, Prachi ma'am. We eagerly look forward to your perspective on this subject.
Hi, thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, and thank you for having me here today for the talk. And thank you to Professor Basu for inviting me and the lovely initiative. I was not aware that it is an International Stress Awareness Day, and one of the reasons I agreed to do something on a weekday was because it's related to something personal to me, and I feel that future generations, especially the generation which is coming into workforce now, need it more than we did. Because say when my grandmother started, or my great-grandmother started, or my mother started for that matter, the world was different. There was less connectivity and the stress factors were less. There was more routine, more predictability. Now we are living increasingly in a more unpredictable environment and more connectivity, which in turn leads to a lot of stress, honestly, because all of you, if the moment you don't answer your calls or your texts, your parents get stressed. So the instant gratification lifestyle that we are living, instant connectivity that we are living in, is causing more stress. Burnout is extremely true. I have suffered it many times. I suffered it a lot when there was a point when I was managing in 2 time zones, and I've done that for 17 years now. But when I was working in 2 time zones, I realized that initially it was, the excitement of doing more work was great. But as time went by, I realized that I was compromising on my sleep, and compromising on my sleep was causing other health issues. It was causing temperament issues. And that is where you slow down and you have to figure out a plan. And one of the ways to deal with stress that I have personally felt, and I'm just going to share examples from my own life, is to have a plan. Plan for your day, plan for your time, plan for how you're going to go about the bigger goals that you have, to break them into short goals. Because what causes the biggest stress is unpredictability, uncertainty. The moment something goes haywire, we start stressing. That does not have to happen. See, you should stress about if the end result is going to be, life-threatening, or, the repercussions are going to be bigger. Most of the time when we're stressing, it's not worth it. As you get older, that gets inculcated more. I see when my daughter takes pressure for her exams, I keep telling her, it is not worth it. What's most important is for your happiness. Everything else is an after effect of how we are inside, how balanced we are inside. And how to be balanced is where the key is. There is no work-life balance. It never existed. It can never exist. This is not something one should even strive for. Some days you have to work more. Some days you get more free time. The way to achieve a work-life balance situation is by prioritizing. In a day, what is your priority? Sometimes some people have a routine of a 1 hour workout. Maybe some days you'll just do a half an hour workout. Move your body, because moving body and action definitely helps reduce stress. I have noticed it over the years. Mental fortitude is incorporated with moving your body. Grit happens with regular exercise. So, things that reduce stress are not just sitting in a calm posture and meditating. Those are never the points that can help reduce stress. It has to be other things. Grit helps, mental fortitude helps, plan helps, delegating helps. So I'll just quickly touch the things. One thing that reduces stress is having a morning routine. The moment a person has a morning routine, a certain part of your morning is predictable. I'm not saying it's going to be the same 7 days a week. There might be deviations, there will be variations, but the more you can stick to it, there will be a sense of accomplishment in the morning that reduces stress immediately. Move your body in the morning. It's extremely important to work out. Over the years, how I developed the habit of moving my body, or mental fortitude, or neuroplasticity, was by learning new things. I learned Kalaripayattu, which is a Southern martial arts, in my mid-30s. I started doing fencing in my mid-30s. So those are the things that create mental fortitude when you're trying to do something new at a certain age when it is expected of you not to do so. Mental strength, the more mentally strong we are, the more we are able to deal with issues. And trust me, even today, I get calls. I've received calls from US at midnight for bail matters. That does not stress me out anymore. It doesn't, because this is the career path I have chosen. And when somebody comes to me and says they want to become a lawyer, I'll tell them, you have to be willing to work on Sundays. If you're not willing to compromise your Sundays, then don't go into this profession, because it's demanding. Another thing that I have learned, and I learned it very late in my life, but it has helped me reduce stress, is delegating. I was always a control freak. I wanted to be on top of things. I would not trust people to do things with same effectiveness that I did. It took me a very long time to start delegating, and today I delegate as much as possible, because I read somewhere by Warren Buffett that you need to learn to multiply yourself. The concept of multiplying yourself is to entrust someone to do something, if not as well as you will do it, but maybe 90% as well as you will do it, and rest 10% you can maybe foresee. The more we delegate people, the more time we find for ourselves to achieve bigger things in life, the more we entrust people, and the less stress comes in our life. I'm not saying that you'll never experience burnout. I'm not going to say that you're not going to be stressed. Yes, we all get stressed. My big stress factor is tardiness. If I am running late for court, for school, for a meeting, for an appointment, for airport, that stresses me even today. But now I have realized what will be the end result. If I'm late, I'll miss a flight, I'll catch another. If I'm late for court, there will be a Passover. So you have to see what is the consequence and then stress about it. I've seen my father have a heart attack. I've seen my mother have a stroke. And over the years, I've realized that it is not worth stressing over. In fact, when my mother had a stroke, the next day my daughter had a Hindi exam, and I had kind of forced my daughter to learn Hindi because I feel people should know more than one language. And being an Indo-American family, it was not important as for my husband for her to learn Hindi. That day when my mother had a stroke, I was in the hospital. And the first thing I did was I messaged her Hindi teacher and said she's not going to take her Hindi exam. And she had the option of leaving Hindi even in 4th grade. Indian government allows it in certain cases. So I said she's not going to study Hindi because I don't want to force that stress on my child. So sometimes when we witness others, we are forced to take certain decisions that our natural self will not take. And I'm not saying that we get stressed. We also cause stress into other people's life, like me forcing my daughter to study Hindi was stress. So summing it up again, I know I've got 10 minutes to speak, so I will just say that most important things that I have learned over the years is mental fortitude. Do something tough to strengthen your mind. It is extremely important. Don't waste your life watching TV, watching reels and all, because that is not going to create mental fortitude. That is just going to create instant gratification. That is not important. Accept situations for what they are, because there's so many times we cannot change situations. And when we start fighting that, that is where stress happens. There are situations where we need to persist till the end. As a lawyer, I'm telling you, I have done that in cases. But there are situations in our personal life where we do not need to persist. We need to accept people, accept situations, accept environments, know which battles to fight, know which battles are not worth your attention. Because the moment you start choosing the two, your life will get easier. Else you'll keep wasting your time. Learn to delegate, have a plan of action. Even if it's just setting your morning and evening routine, have a plan. And when you have bigger goals, sometimes I remember I had boarded a flight to return to India and my daughter said, I'm feeling overwhelmed. And I said, the moment you know your bigger goals, break it down to the immediate goals. And when you focus on the immediate goal that you have, the immediate action that you have to perform, you will not be stressed. You will not be overwhelmed. And the moment you feel depression, which is again due to stress and burnout, start moving. The moment you start moving your body, that feeling will go away. Everything happens in action and all the negativity happens in inaction, because it's sleep deprivation which will cause, which is again inaction. It is, the things that we take for granted are the ones that are causing stress. And that has to be reduced. So routine, plan, mental fortitude, these are the things. And I'll give you just another example from life, something as simple as lawyers have a uniform. It reduces our morning stress. We know we have to wear black and white. So the more your day is planned for you, the more predictable certain things are, the more decision fatigue is reduced from our own self, from own angle. That is what reduces stress. Because I'm speaking from my personal life, compassion fatigue is a bigger part of lawyering. We are taking into people's problem all the time. Everybody who comes is going to dump their problems. And then we witness how bad the society is. When people come to me with certain simple decisions, and I know what the larger consequences are in society, it could be something as simple as how many dowry deaths we come across, how many domestic violence cases we come across, how underreported POSH cases are in India. I was telling it to a friend the other day, POSH is only 400 NCRB data says there are only 400 reported POSH cases, but there's more sexual harassment than we actually report. So when you come across so much compassion fatigue, so much negativity, there will be stress, but you have to learn to deal with it. You cannot stop it because that's part of your profession, but you have to not internalize every stress you're coming across. And you have to find an outlet. An outlet can be workout, an outlet can be going for a walk, an outlet can be music, an outlet can be just helping society. Whatever helps make you feel better is what you have to do to reduce stress. To each their own, there is no template. Go for therapy if it is needed. Find a life coach if it is needed. Read your books if it is needed. Do whatever helps soothe you. Thank you. That's all I'll say.
Thank you,
On
ma'am.
behalf of Aliza, I'll just thank ma'am personally on behalf of RDNC College. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think I completely resonate with the points that you gave today. And I think all the participants have a very strong take home from your experience that stress, to just summarize, probably would be that stress is inevitable, but you can't internalize it. You have to go ahead, you have to take your path, you have to let go of it, and yet it's going to come back. And I really like what you said. Every morning you get up and you have to wear only black and that is the color in your clothes, which, today they say retail therapy and you wear, very nice, colorful clothes. But I understand from a lawyer's point that it's, taking in from society, it's wearing black and white, it's yet keeping your head strong. And I really, really appreciate your inputs for today, ma'am, and really appreciate your acting our invite during our weekday and sharing your experience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for
Over
having
to you,
me.
Aliza.
Thank you, ma'am. Even as psychology students, we could truly resonate with the compassion fatigue point that you made. Even if we are not going forward to pursue clinical, I'm sure we can all relate to compassion fatigue. And that's why here as a batch, we practice mental fortitude and resilience. That is like one of our key mottos of our batch. So
Wow.
thank you. Your speech really resonated with us.
Thank you.
So
I
moving
think
on
we
to
can have a huge round of applause, silent applause with your emojis, which is your alphas and things. So for ma'am, we can have the silent emojis coming in with the thank you. Yes, I see some. Thank you, ma'am.
So much. Thank you.
our next speaker for today is Bobby Birje, an experienced account manager at Gozoop Group, bringing a wealth of expertise from his previous roles at Tonic Worldwide and Red Chili's VFX. With a solid background in managing accounts across creative and digital landscapes, Bobby has developed a unique perspective on brand engagement and client relationships. His experience in both the entertainment and digital marketing sectors allows him to craft tailored strategies that effectively connect brands and their audiences. Known for his dynamic approach and strategic insight, Bobby continues to drive impactful results and foster meaningful relationships with clients. Mr. Bobby, sir, you can share with us your experiences.
Hello. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. How are you all doing today?
Great seeing you, Bobby, on screen.
Hello, ma'am. Nice to
Hello.
see you.
Bobby has been my favorite student. And I think from Aliza's introduction, we all I'm going to say it a little loudly. Bobby Birje has worked with Red Chili's and he has worked with Shah Rukh Khan. And I think that was a great, great experience and learning that Bobby's had. And he's grown from there. So maybe in your discussion, we can also understand that. Looking forward to your talk, Bobby.
Perfect. Yeah, so I really liked what Ms. Prachi Pratap also said. Like, honestly, I could really resonate with what she had to say over here. Like, I understand the fact that stress basically is something that is going to be there. It's inevitable. It's part of life. What only matters is how we navigate through it, how we basically find that good balance between getting in and out of the same. So the idea is here to basically, yes, to understand the stress signals over here that we have. Like basically I work in marketing, right? And it's not only me, like overall as an industry, you have seen some particular brands that you see like something has happened like 5 minutes ago and you see a post of theirs on social media. You see something, so the billboards coming up the next day over all the city. So it's a particular field that keeps you on your toes. Like you have to be up to date. You everything that happens instantly you have to come up with a post, come up with some campaign, be on your toes the whole time. And that somewhere definitely stresses you out, drains you, tires you out because you're just keeping your eye out on everything. Oh, this is happening. Oh, this is happening. I have to do something about it, something about it. And if you miss out, then it's just like, oh, why didn't you do this? And that's just basic part of how this profile comes with it and the stresses that it brings in. So one thing I believe like what I've practiced is understanding between how to thrive and survive. Like I initially used to survive in the field, particularly when I was new. I've had those bad days. I've had those days that I've cried in the bathroom, like I can't do this. There's so much work. But eventually, as you keep growing in it, you understand, oh, surviving is just basically you finish some task somehow, manage it, end it, and you don't have time to absorb what you have done and immediately on to the next thing. And that somewhere basically breaks your cycle. Somewhere it how to put it, doesn't motivate you enough to do something the next step. Hence, to thrive is the best way to go about the same. Also, like I've seen me, my colleagues, how this overall it has impacted us with so much happening at the same time, 2 3 things going on, 4 5 things going on. Like I currently work on 6 brands and all 6 are from different industries. It's only you're not looking at one industry and keeping up with that, but 6 different overall, and ensuring you're hitting the right spots in all of them. Similarly, my colleagues also, as we have those days where we're little lost, and understanding how we can navigate ourselves through this. And hence working on small steps, which over time I have understood, is understanding those stress signals. Oh, where I'm lagging behind, why am I lagging behind, what can I do to make things better personally, taking those little breaks every now and then. And overall, hence that's affected my work in a very positive way, because that was something I need to work on myself for sure. So one of the things could be understanding signals is you're not able to give that great output, or somewhere where you're just like, oh, this is not working out. Or the other ways it is someone telling you, hey, what's up? Things are not working well. So what can we do about this? That's where somewhere you need to also communicate, if possible, to somebody, hey, this is what's going on. I'm not able to do this. And only when you can communicate something to somebody, that's only when they can lend a hand to help you. And that's one of the very important things to manage stress, is like, ask for help. It's not wrong. When things are going a little crazy, ask for help. Ask for somebody to give you some support, and it will definitely come in. And that's one of the most basic rules in corporate, where people are like, I'll do this on my own, I'll do this, I'll make my boss happy. It doesn't work like that. You're a team, you move together, and that's how it's supposed to be. Where you fall short, your teammates help. Where they fall short, you help them out. And that's one of the best practices that you can have, basically, to manage stress at work. Some things you can otherwise do as well is like, sometimes when I'm stressed at work or things are just not happening, you take those little breaks. Or after a big campaign, like let's say we finished a festival campaign that went on for 3 months, and 3 months I was just working 10 hours, 12 hours a day. Now I'm going on a 15-day holiday, because that's when you want to unwind, unlearn few things, relax a little bit, and when you come back, you're fresh and you're just like ready to go at whatever's going to come next on your way. Like I understand from your perspective also, when I was in third year, all those ideas about, hey, I have to do my masters, I need to do certain scores, your viva, the experiments, very hectic. And that's when, how to put it, like those little breaks, I'm not saying go on a holiday right now or something, but after your work, probably you can do something, find your hobbies. Honestly, that's one thing I think I've been hearing from school and did not understand the importance of it until now. Like those small hobbies are what basically helps you unwind and really give that time to yourself that you really deserve. Like, and it's taken me 10 years to understand that, but finally now I have those time where I do something. It could be as small as cooking at home, a little meal for your family and sitting down together to have. And that just makes me feel great. And that's how you can find something of your own. And otherwise, yeah, basic practices could be eating well, moving around a little bit here and there. In this, a lot of things are related to stress, could not only be environmental, but also what you're eating. There's a lot of junk food, and we are just going at it after packets, Swiggy after Swiggy. So sometimes a healthy meal also keeps your mind healthy, and that's very, very important personally, I believe. And once you start creating a little routine every now and then, you try out, it's like a trial and error. Morning routines, after work routine, or weekend routines. Once you get a little idea of here and there, and with a trial and error, you start working things out. And when things are in place, I think 60% of your things are solved there and there. And the rest is just on you, how you drive things day by day. So yeah, I think from my experience personally in the field, how things have been, it's taken me a lot of time to get here. The main key factors is get your routine in place, except there will be stress, but you need to be understanding how to come out of it. That may need time, that may take time, but also very important, ask for help when you need help, and don't try to do everything on your own, because sometimes that's just not worth it. But yeah, that's all I think I would like to say. If there are any questions, ready to take them up.
Bobby, I had a question. You said you are handling around 5, 6, clients at the same time, and they're from different industries. So
Yes.
I just wanted to know that sometimes you do get backlash, or you don't meet deadlines, or the work is not up to the mark that they would want, and expectations are not met. So how do you handle negative feedback or from your boss?
Understood. Honestly, that's a very straightforward thing. When things go wrong, first thing is just accept them for what it is. What you thought in your head and what has come out probably has not been the same, not been aligned. So firstly, accept what people have to say. You can't just push it back. Oh no, what they're saying is wrong. What I'm saying is right. We did this as a team. We checked it internally. We checked it with everybody. The client is happy. We are happy. If people are unhappy, that's their problem now. Because they are the consumers. They are who are running your brand technically. That's because of them your brand is going on. So understanding where they are coming from and trying to basically align your thoughts with theirs. If required, some places, yes, you might accept you have gone wrong, put an apology out, and of course a course of way how you can fix that thing, because an apology it is, but how you can do better as a brand going forward is a very crucial step going forward.
Sir,
Also, sir,
Thank you.
yes. You also said that to do hobbies in your time that you get, but then how do you do those hobbies effortlessly without feeling like I have to put extra effort in maintaining those hobbies? And what are your kind of hobbies that you like to do to keep the balance in your life?
I don't see them as like, oh, I'm doing it effortlessly. I just basically go out. Like cooking is honestly very effortless. It's people are saying, oh, cooking is so difficult. It's not. You just follow a recipe and it's good to go. Of course, it takes time and effort. That's there. What I like to do, I sketch, write in my free time. So when I'm traveling to my work, I usually sit with a notebook. I write my thoughts. I write poems basically. And when I get some holiday, like a block leave, I go on a holiday. Like that's my basically few things I go about. But what you can do is, even if not every day, but once in 3 days and once in 4 days or once a week, you can definitely get that 1 hour out. And honestly, that you have to do for yourself, because that 1 hour you deserve and you should take it out and tell everybody, hey, I'm not unavailable, I'm busy, I'll meet you tomorrow, I'll meet you later. But that 1 hour you deserve and you should take it out for yourself.
Bobby, I had just another question, and I've always been in the academic field, but we always hear that corporate jobs are absolutely no. They really kill people. There's always an incoming time, but there's never an outgoing time. So people burn out. And then they get into like drinking to get off their stress, and dot. So we hear a lot.
Correct.
Of course, the money is good and the recognition is good, but there's a lot of negative wrapping with corporate jobs, and especially
Right.
with media advertising, which is so competitive. So can you give me a little take on that? Because a lot of our students go in for industrial psychology, join corporate jobs. So any take on that?
Yeah, actually a very good question. Yes, there are work hours, there are long work hours, but honestly, you'll have to start setting your boundaries from day one. I'm not saying when there's crucial, don't tell your manager, oh, I'm not available. There will be days where you will be working a little more, but you need to find that fine line where you tell your manager, hey, today is not possible. Also, one key difference that people still don't understand is the difference between important and urgent. Urgent work needs to be done right away. Important work, if your manager comes and gives you, or anybody else comes and gives you by 7 p.m. where you're supposed to log out, you tell them, hey, is it urgent or important? If it's important, I'll pick it up tomorrow first thing because it's not urgent and I need to go back home and I have other things to do. So finding that little balance is very important, and create a boundaries. Yes, not very politely, very nicely. It takes time. Yes, some people also take time to find their own boundaries. So that's somewhere a little line that you figure out with time, but understand the difference between urgent and important. That's very key takeaway.
I love that. That's lovely. I think that's a very nice take home for all our students between urgent and, what is important. And, now all of us are doing a lot of project work and assignments. So that is also important that, it should not just become work overload and piled up. You need to differentiate between what is important and what is urgent. Thank you, Bobby, for that. Bobby, I just had, maybe this is a little tricky question, but I think it's very important to also understand there is a very clear understanding that males, experience lesser stress at workplace than females, because females have a lot of other issues that they have to deal with. So do you feel that there is a gender difference when it comes to a corporate world or a workplace and the experience of stress?
Honestly, personally, I cannot speak on behalf of women, of course. But when I speak to my female colleagues, I do hear there is a little differentiation over there on the floor. And I think that's the reality of it, where that's where you guys, as future industrial psychologists, will come into place and eventually help us fix this. Where current people are lacking, this is where you guys will be shining, definitely.
Thanks. Any questions?
Yes, I had one question. So mainly, many people say that you should make your hobby your job because then you would enjoy yourself more. But then I think at some point your job becomes your hobby, and then like you start losing interest in your hobby because you're not doing it because you like it anymore. You're doing it because you're needed to do it. So how do you maintain that balance of like, okay, I'm doing this because I like it, and my job is just a part of my hobby?
I think what you're saying could be differentiated from field by field. Like when somebody is an artist who loves to paint and then make a career out of it, yes. For me, my hobbies and my job are absolutely different. I love my job. Honestly, there's not been a single day where I've been bored of what I do. I love what I do. But I would like that happiness to end at 7 p.m. at office, and I do something else when I get back out of 7 p.m. for sure. Finding that little fine line, what you do, of course, differs industry to industry, workplace to workplace. But yeah, if you keep doing your hobby over time, of course, you're bound to get burnt out sometime. So hence, that's when adopting new hobbies or different activities comes into place. Yeah.
Also, sir, how did your background in psychology help you stand out in the corporate sector? And like, how has any knowledge of psychology helped you in your bachelor's level that you learned?
Honestly, it did not. I worked as an HR actually when I started my career. That's where it definitely helped. But later, while working, actually after my work hours, I started doing a little courses on the side to understand marketing better. And that's where I switched my fields eventually. But that was an extra thing I've taken on top. But in my HR, it definitely did help me. But yeah.
I had a
Thank you.
question.
Hi.
You said that you do write and draw as a hobby. So does the stress of everything else you're doing affect your writer's or artist block?
Not really, because my idea is when I'm doing that, it's usually like at a very odd hour, like let's say 12 in the night, 11, when like I don't have anybody else bothering me. That's just me time. Or me while going to office, that's just me time. Nobody else is bothering me at that time. So it does not. It just helps me go at it and just relax a little bit. And I have a chaotic day. Oh, let's make something maybe on the way, relax. Oh, look at it, so cute. Haha. And then go to work and just get at it. So yeah.
So another question. So usually we set ourselves that, okay, I am going to study from this to this time or work from this to this time. And then after that, at 7 o'clock in the evening, I will do my hobby, like draw or cook or something like that. But then how do we stop it from becoming like a chore? Like, oh, okay, it's 7 o'clock, I have to draw now. So, I mean, then it becomes like another job itself, right? So how do we prevent that feeling from occurring?
So honestly, to answer your question, it's in your question itself. You don't have to do it like that. You do it when you feel like it. You don't have to make it, oh, aaj 7 baje mein, every day I'm going to go home and make a painting. No, it doesn't have to be like that. When sometimes you're feeling you're burnt out, sometimes when you have free time, nothing to do, oh, doom scrolling is just the end of it. But if something else you're doing other than that, hey, why not pick up something that you like and do it? The whole idea of hobby is it should not feel like a job. It should feel like a break from your job. So that's how it is.
I think we've got so many questions, Bobby, for you, and all related to corporate world and world of work stress. Any more questions, anyone, for Bobby?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Lily.
Sir, as you said that you should take time out for your hobby, but
Right.
whenever I do that, I get this feeling of guilt कि अगर मैं मेरा hobby कर रही हूँ, so it will get means my work will get affected, and I won't able to perform well on my work if I'm doing my hobby or paying more time to my hobby. So what should I do then?
Firstly, is coming to terms to accept that your work is a little part of your life and not your entire life. And the whole part is you doing something to take out a little time of your day to yourself is something, how to put it, to keep yourself happy, to keep yourself going. It's something you deserve, and you should accept the fact you deserve that 1 hour. No matter what you do, that's for me. Hey, I'm going to go for a cycle. I'm going to go swim. I'm going to play a guitar. That's something that in a way, I see myself personally, I owe it to myself. Like, hey, if I'm not doing, I'm going to lie down on the bed for 1 hour. I don't care. But that's just 1 hour of break from what I want to do. I don't want to be productive every day either after work. Sometimes you're just tired. So I'm just literally lying down, watching something, reading something. That's just 1 hour of break that I think I deserve, and I take it out. And you should also feel that way, that your work is just part of your life, and don't feel guilty about taking breaks from your work after your work hours.
So Bobby, I think the question will keep coming because students are really excited, I think, connecting with your idea of workplace. But thank you so much, Bobby, again. Once again, this is an absolute weekday and it's just mid-work, but always a pleasure to have an alumni of our department. And I feel really nice, that you agreed and accepted our invite to share your viewpoints. And thank you so much on behalf of Department of RDNC College. Time out and share.
Thank you so much for having me,
your
man.
points. Thank you so
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Over to you, Aliza.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insights. We definitely have skipped our breakfast before, and you pointing out that, yeah, healthy meal does matter time to time is a really good takeaway that we can have from this conversation. Our next speaker is Janice. Janice is a seasoned professional with expertise in research commissioning and project management, deeply committed to advancing mental health advocacy. Currently serving as the research program lead at the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health, she spearheads initiatives that enhance workplace safety and well-being.
I think that's my cue, Elisa. Okay, brilliant. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen really quickly so that you can. Can everyone see my screen? Okay. Yeah. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. I'm just gonna. Okay. Say good evening, everyone. I am Janice. Like I was introduced, I'm research program lead at IOSH, that's the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health here in the UK. So today I'll be introducing and talking about a really important topic that is working abroad and the challenges that come with it. The main outcome of this session, I'm hoping, is to raise awareness of finding jobs abroad and adjusting to a whole new workplace, and also like highlighting my experiences along the way. I will take questions towards the end. So if you have any questions, please hold them and we will get through all of them towards the end of my slides. So just before we start, I would really like to get a bit of a taste as to how many of you in the audience are really trying to or intend to go abroad to study and transition into work. Hands up, chat function, anything works. Okay, we have quite a few hands up. Okay, nice. Okay, brilliant. So I think I'm really hoping that this session really gives you a bit of a taster, or like gives you something to reflect on, what to think about, and if you have any specific burning questions on considerations of working abroad, please feel free to fire them away. So to set the scene with mental health and what it really looks like in reality, I've taken this really key infographic from the International Labour Organization and the World Health Organization. And I think there are two main key takeaways from this infographic. One is the really important and the dire situation of mental health at work. That is the economic impact in terms of money and numbers, $1 trillion, really high. And second is the causes, which is depression and anxiety among working adults. Now, back in 2019, we had around 15% of working adults who had a mental health condition. So regardless of these numbers and figures, what I really want to get your attention is to how migrant workers and new graduates who seek jobs abroad are particularly vulnerable to mental health conditions. Now, why is that? Firstly, you're trying to enter into a new workforce. You're entering unfamiliar territory. There's a lot of change that's happening. You're trying to navigate a new workplace. You're trying to get work permits. You're trying to adjust to the culture. You have probably high expectations from yourself, from families, and even your managers in the workplace. So this is something I would really encourage you to be a bit more mindful of and probably help you prepare on your journey abroad and when you're transitioning into work. So getting straight into it, what is job hunting abroad like? What are the opportunities? And also getting a bit into my experiences as to what it was like for me ages ago, years ago, to getting into the international job market. So to get into my experiences, so firstly, part-time work. I can't stress the importance of this enough. Like if you are studying abroad, like you just transition from your undergrad to postgrad, get any sort of part-time work that is available. This could be 20 hours or less than 20 hours or 1 day a week, anything that suits your schedule. Now, why is this important? Because any experience that you get is invaluable and it is transferable. Firstly, it gives you an introduction to the new workplace culture. It helps you understand what the work environment is. It gives you competence. It gives you skills, soft skills, especially, which might not be available to you when you're studying. It's that communication, it's that customer experience that you probably have not had yet. So any of the experiences that you can get during your studying, part-time work, and even internships could be an option because any work is still experience. So I really strongly encourage you to consider any sort of part-time work. And even if you're studying right now and you think you have some extra time on your hands that could fit into your schedule, please be open to these opportunities. Next is online courses. I've really used this a lot in the process of my career. There are so many platforms out there with freely available online courses that you can tap into. Now, the motive of using these online courses could be either you're just curious about a new job sector or job, a particular industry or a particular topic, or you just want to build on something that you already know. For example, AI is now really all over the place. If you want to learn something about data analytics and AI in research, take up a course. There are free ones really available. So make use of these resources that are available to you. That really helps you build up your experience, your CV, and your knowledge. And then it takes me to the next one. That is your CV, because once you have your CV in place, it's up to standard. You're showing proactivity, you're showing you're keen to learn, you're doing online courses that are not mandatory. It really boosts you up. It sets you up well in terms of your peers, your competitors, that you're someone that is unique, and it gives you a unique selling point as well to other candidates. So make sure your CV is up to date, keep it concise, focus on what is important, your education, your work experiences, your skills. Really highlight those, like avoid really elaborate biographies in the start. Keep it concise, what your intention is, what's the career that you really want to get into. So make your CV very attractive and easy for employers to read. Next is your university resources. For example, any of you who are planning to study abroad, your postgraduate courses or any university courses or universities themselves have student centers. And these centers are very resourceful because they offer you guidance in terms of even building up your CV, feedback on your CV, help to gain employment, feedback on employment processes, applications. Another big minefield of resources available to you to tap into. So reach out and make use of these resources when you're there. And sometimes, especially the university I was at, I had a year after graduation support for that whole year. So that is something you could look into, but just as a caveat, it would depend across organizations and universities. So make sure you're getting as much as information as possible and make use of this support, because this will really help you expand your options and really get into the job market. And the last one is volunteering. Now, for me, volunteering even came after I had full-time employment. And the reason why I'm even including this within my experience is that volunteering really gives you invaluable experience in terms of just giving back to society, one. And also, if you just want to test out a sector or job or to see what the field is like, what the work environment is like, without too much commitment, volunteering gives you that space to do it. So try building connections in there and really doing jobs or volunteering positions that you're interested in, because that will really help you, again, boost your CV and show that you're a bit more open to opportunities that might not be linked to full-time employment. So from my experiences, I'd like to give you a few opportunities that are there for you to really make use of, and how you could tap into or like be a bit more mindful of when you're trying to get into that job space. So networking and relationship building. This is a good one because LinkedIn is now really high in terms of networking. You can connect with people, connect with organizations that you really want to work into, industries that you work into, and have those conversations. Sending a message is really that easy. So connect with people, have conversations. Like I mentioned earlier, internships again give you a big opportunity, and sometimes you could even transition into full-time working. University career services, similar like I mentioned before. This is something that's available, so make use of it. Now, language and culture training, I think that's really important, because if you're going to a country that English is not the first language, you really need to think about how you're going to bridge any communication gaps that might come along. Make sure you're competent enough or you have sufficient language skills to communicate basic communication in the workplace. So it really reduces any unnecessary hurdles you might come along the way. Now, alternative pathways is more like keeping your options open. Yes, you would want to do that particular job, that particular ideal position, dream job. Yes, that is something you should work towards, and I strongly encourage it, but keep your options open. See what other options give you a bit more less competition, or give you a bit more space to explore positions that are still challenging and still help you use your skill set and kind of get into the job market. And lastly, alumni and professional organizations. Now, there are people who have been in the same shoes as you, who have probably have been through the same career pathway or same positions as you. So reach out, have conversations. I'm sure there are everyone's happy to help. So, and professional organizations are a key one in this, because, for example, if you want to get into health and safety, we have the HSC, the IOSH. If you want to get into psychology, there's the BPS. If you want sports sciences in the UK, sorry, this is all in the UK, there's BASIS and quite a few others. And they have student memberships. So you could even have conversations with them, get a taste as to what are the expectations in the career and future job opportunities. And moving on to my next slide, a bit on the challenges. Now, unfortunately, working abroad is a very rewarding experience, but it does come with some unique challenges. For example, you're trying to adjust to a new workplace. So cultural norms are differences, biases might come in. So a big one is, unfortunately, workplace discrimination. International workers do face this because of nationality differences, ethnicity, cultural background that could impact your work relationships and job advancement. Another big one is the devaluation of current experiences and education. So this is something you need to think about and prepare for. Do your research as to which country you're going to, what's the job market like, what's recognized and what's not, and kind of bridge those gaps through like boosting up your CV or through courses or work experience. Cultural differences are another one, where like in the workplace, it could be a bit challenging and there could be misunderstandings because, for example, for me, calling sir and madam to a manager was not a common thing, but you refer to them in your first name, which is like very different from what we're used to. So understanding these cultural differences can be a bit different and something that you would need to work towards. Work ethics are something that's different. Now, work-life balance is really encouraged or supported in the westernized workplaces. So having or building that good gap or that good balance as to what works for you is really important. Unfortunately, lack of trust is another big challenge international workers face because foreign workers sometimes are mistrusted because of cultural biases, stereotypes, and prejudices. And bullying, unfortunately, and intimidation does come up as one of the key workplace risks for international workers. But although the responsibility for all of these challenges lies with an employer to make sure it's an inclusive workplace, I think there's a lot of opportunity for personal growth and resilience when you're trying to move towards working in a foreign setting. Quickly on the stressors in the workplace, this was a really interesting study that was published in 2018 as to what is the stressors of working abroad. Now, I think I've mentioned this earlier with communication. If English is not the first language, you are going to struggle having the normal conversations with your colleagues and workers and managers. So having a basic understanding or preparing for that would really help you. Like, for example, for me, even though English is the same language we speak almost everywhere with education, accents are very different. So even understanding that or getting used to that was a bit of a barrier. Cultural differences, like I said, like referring to your manager in their first name is a bit awkward. It's not seen as a sign of respect. So then using first names was a bit of a difference that I had to get used to. Daily life, you're trying to navigate life, studying and work, trying to balance that. That could be another stressor. Relationships with families, you're detached from your social network, detached from your family, so kind of getting used to that. Financial problems, like getting used to budgeting a new currency, for example, minimum wage. So getting used to those things or giving yourself time to get used to things, that's really crucial. And unfortunately, social inequality is one other one, like not being paid your right wage or like abuse from employers, extremely high workloads, discrimination and marginalization in the workplace. But what I will tell you with this one is, even for me personally, I had instances where I had to speak up, I had to be assertive, I had to raise concerns when I needed to, because personal boundaries should not be crossed, workplace or not. But although these stressors do exist, there's a lot of opportunity for you to be assertive, be resilient, and kind of move forward with whatever challenges you are facing. Quick question again to break it up. How many of you in the audience, teacher, non-teacher, academics, students, actually reach out to your manager if you need help? Hands, show of hands, chat. No one? Or is that a glitch in my Zoom? Okay, no one. Okay, that's fine. This takes me straight into the coping strategies. Now, the reason I asked this question is here, or mostly westernized worlds, use reaching out to your manager as the first instance or the first point of contact to raise concerns in the workplace. So how do you manage all of the things I talked about? What's the coping mechanisms? First one, let's go with, I'm too overworked, I have a lot of work to do, what do I do? In the first instance, you're supposed to be reaching out to your line manager. Now, I understand for someone who's new in the country, who's new to the workplace, it's not always possible. You're not always going to feel comfortable enough raising these concerns. But use wisdom in these circumstances if you're in the situation. And I can see by already the question, there's a lot of hesitancy in even asking for help. But if you don't ask for help, you're not going to get it. So reach out and ask for help if it's appropriate in the situation that you are in. Time management, a common strategy for stress management, really helps you be in control. Be realistic about the expectations. Don't be too hard on yourself, because take things as they come. Work-life balance is another big one. I think our previous speaker really spoke very well on this. Take breaks, focus on your life outside work, pursue hobbies as and when you can. Break up your day or kind of detach from your work day to pursuing your hobbies. And support in the workplace. There are support services that are available in westernized workplaces where like you can have confidential one-to-one support with confidential trained personnel. You can reach mental health helplines if something is really out of your control and you can't manage it. And lastly, develop healthy relationships with your colleagues, because this will help you build deep connections. You can just talk to someone in the same shoes as you. They can probably empathize and help you a bit more better with your experiences and challenges that you're facing. Now, that all said, it brings me to the end of my slide, and I'm very happy to take any questions now.
Hi,
Ma'am,
Janice.
Hi, ma'am.
So, Noor, before you go, I just wanted to personally thank Janice. And like always, it's always a pleasure to have you on board. And I see your PPT, your presentation so meticulously prepared, your timings so well disciplined. And it's really, really nice to, see you mature and grow so much. And I think your inputs that you've given our students and our participants are really very important, and very well placed for them to, take home as a message that you need to plan your life, you need to plan your goal. We have a lot of aspirants wanting to go to UK and pursue further studies, and I think you very meticulously put down, how they can prepare themselves not only with their academic goals, but how culturally they need to adjust, because all that also does add and contribute to the stress. So thank you so much, Janice. Thank you so much for your inputs, questions from the audience to Janice.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ma'am, I had a question.
Yeah.
You have provided some really helpful insights on how we can deal with stressors externally, such as being an Indian student in a foreign country. One may have to deal with cultural discrimination and misunderstandings that may occur due to the sheer difference in culture, and a lot of external ways in which we can deal with these stressors, such as seeking out for help and not being afraid to admit that there is an issue. But with something as ambitious as wanting to have a career abroad in any particular field, there also comes the main problem of introspecting, where due to stress, one feels as though they took on more than they were able to handle, or that maybe they have done something wrong and they were dreaming too big for their own good. So, how does one keep themselves from not butchering their own dreams because they get scared due to stressors, and just keep moving forward without getting impeded?
Yeah. Okay, stress and anxiety are two different things. And the fear you're talking about is anxiety. And sometimes, under certain circumstances, you need to keep yourself in check. Like, what is coming out of this, and what is it in for me? Make that distinction very clear for yourself. Like, yes, there's job opportunities, there's the career ladder that you want to climb, you want to be that really high earning person, or whatever your goal is. So kind of have that distinction in place. Don't let fear hold you back, right? That's not the goal. Like, you can still keep trying, and if you fail, that's okay. It's not a bad thing. So just keep pushing. But if there's stress involved and you think it's impacting your health and your well-being, you need to revisit your goals, and that's intention, right? So just kind of making that distinction and revisiting if it's really impacting your health and well-being.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's fine.
Ma'am, can you share your personal experience with stress and how you overcame it? What coping mechanisms you chose?
Of course. So for me, I think for me, a good stress buster strategy is being active. I see that as something that's physically enduring, and it also is mentally very boosting. So being active really helps you, like going for a walk, going for a run, going to the gym. That is something I really am a very strong advocate for. But also talking to people is something really helps me. Having a social network, and it could be anyone. It doesn't have to be someone at work. It doesn't have to be a mental health helpline. It has to be someone you trust. As long as you have that support system where you're reaching out to someone, voicing out your concerns, that is more than enough. So just having someone to reach out to, I think that is a good first starting point.
Ma'am, another question. We often, whenever we're looking at opportunities abroad or just opportunities in general, we hear like 10 sites or 10 different people telling us what to do. Your CV must include this, your CV must include that. You must have like a resume, 10 internships ready. So like what is the stress that comes along with that? How do you deal with it? And like what are some credible sources that you could listen to?
Yeah. So, firstly, I mean, there's always going to be a lot of noise, right? So, you have to shut those things down. Go to credible sources like professional organizations, go to the university sites because they give you really credible, authoritative guidance as to what the expectation is. The most important, if you're applying for a job, go into the job description, look carefully as to what the expectation is. And CVs most likely need to reflect what you're applying for. How are you selling your CV in terms of what the candidate requirement is and what do you have? That mismatch should be as less as possible. So drawing those things most closely together helps you secure that interview or get to a good position where you can kind of probably get closer to landing that job. So authoritative sources, industries, universities really help with getting lessening the noise and just looking for what you really need to get through. There's a really good question in the chat. I don't know if you want to take that because I think that's very important. I'm happy to read that out or yeah.
Sure, ma'am, you can take up the question.
Yeah. So there's a question here that says, I am an introvert and I can't share my experiences with others. Is that a bad thing? And how often I should share my feelings with families and friends, though I don't have any? I completely understand where you're coming from. I myself, I'm not much of an extrovert, and it can be very difficult when you're in this position to kind of be open and talk to people or share your feelings. So try passive ways. Try writing things down, kind of create distance from your thoughts so that you're a bit more reflective. But although you don't sit with your feelings for too long, because sometimes being in isolation really doesn't help overcoming all of this stress. So reach out to someone at some point. I'm sure there would be, or build connections that make you feel safe. Although you might not have your close knit circle yet, I'm sure there are pathways or like friendships that you could build towards. And there are mental health helplines in these instances where you don't have immediate support available, which is completely fine to reach out to because this is someone who's not attached to you in your close circle and they give you that confidential support and a listening ear, which you would probably need. So don't feel like this isolates you from getting support at all, but there are other options for you to reach out to other people. I really hope that helps.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so
ma'am.
much, Janice. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
You truly told us what to expect, how to deal with the challenges, and thank you so much for your insights.
No
Our
problem.
next,
Yeah.
our
Thank
next
you,
speaker,
Janice. As always, great having you around. And I think the questions will keep coming in more and more and more. And we can tap back on you again when we have a career talk. Looking
Okay, fine.
forward. Thank you so much, Janice.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker for today is Ahan Roy Chaudhary. Roy Chaudhary is a final year BSc Economics student at University College London, UCL. Ahan's academic accomplishments and commitment have secured him a prestigious opportunity to join Scotiabank, a renowned Canadian investment bank, as a corporate and investment banking analyst. He has worked part-time with the Merger Site Group as an M&A partner and analyst. His unwavering commitment to the field of economics and finance gives us insights into his analytical mindset and problem-solving abilities. Good evening, sir. I now request you to share your insights.
Hello. Hello. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can hear you.
Hi. Hi. Hello. Oh.
We can hear you, Ahan.
Oh, great. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the introduction. That's very nice of you. So, yeah, I guess I'll just quickly run you through some of my experiences before I begin. And then also just what I'll be, I guess, talking about today. So, like you said, I'm in UCL. I'm a final year student. I've had previous experience at PwC in the investment banking division. And then I recently did a summer at Scotiabank in their corporate and investment banking division. And then I've converted that to the graduate role. So the things I'll mainly be talking about today is just actually how I applied for universities, and then moving to the UK, how that was. And then I'll also talk about how I applied for summer internships and then how I actually converted the summer internship into a full-time graduate role. And just the stresses along with that and how I personally dealt with them. So I guess I'll just quickly start by saying how I dealt with the stress of applying for university in the UK. And of course, the main one was the grades, because applying for university in the UK, the main thing is definitely that you need to get good grades, since that's the thing they care about the most. So, things like your A levels and your GCSEs, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with those terms, or just whatever board you're doing. You need to really manage the stress with that by just having really good time management skills. Something which I did personally to get the grades I needed to get into UCL was that I just made a very extensive study timetable, which planned about 2 months in advance. And I really just planned exactly how I was going to study, because I personally find that when you have a lot of things to stress about, the best thing to do is just segregate the time and, actually know when you're going to study, since that really reduces the stress quite a bit. So in terms of applying for uni, that was one of the things I did. And then there's also the stress of the personal statement, which is something you need for the UK universities. And you had to also build your experiences alongside your studies. So again, the way I dealt with that is, again, it's just simply time management. Since when you have a lot of things on hand, in my opinion, the best thing to do is just jot them out on an Excel and just plan ahead. And that's just the best way to deal with stress for me. So I guess next I'll just talk about how I dealt with stress moving to the UK, since this was the first time I wasn't living with my family. And that was the main stress, just the fact that normally I have someone to cook for me, I have someone to iron my clothes, things like that, which is my mom, and she wasn't there this time. So that was a huge adjustment. And initially, the first month was obviously quite hard, since it's a new country. I don't have any previous friends there, and at the same time, I don't know my family anymore. But literally, the best way I thought you could deal with this is just going out of your comfort zone and just socializing as much as you can. Since the sooner you get a big circle of friends, the more things just start ticking by more easily. And I found that once I had my friends after maybe a month or so, I found my university experience a lot more fun. And then automatically, once I had my friends and I was happy in that sense, the cooking and the cleaning and all of that just followed through. So I would really, suggest that if you're planning on moving to the UK or any new country, the first thing you focus on is establishing a social circle of maybe a few close friends, since that always helps. And yeah, that's really how I dealt with the stress of moving to the UK. And then, as the previous speaker also said, there was the stress of managing money, since it is a different currency. And normally I didn't have to manage my money before, since I was living with my parents, but it was a whole new thing. And initially, I did overspend too much, and then I had to survive off a few pounds for the last few weeks. But eventually I learned how to acclimatize and then spend my money more prudently, which again is just something you learn over time, and that's not something which you should stress about too much at the start, because you will learn eventually. And yeah, the next thing I'll talk about is applying for jobs. So the jobs I wanted to sort of get was in investment banking and corporate banking. So the way that it works in the UK is you apply for summer internships, and if you get the summer internship, you have to perform in the summer internship, and then they eventually convert that into a graduate role. So I decided in my first year of studies, so when I was in year one, so about like 19 years old, I applied and got the role as an investment banking analyst at PwC in Mumbai, actually. And I did that for about 12 weeks, which really built on a lot of good experience there. And, again, that was another space where I had to deal with stress, because this was the first time I was actually entering like a workplace environment, which is obviously very different to university. So the way you talk, the way you carry yourself is all very different. And again, the way I dealt with that sort of stress of having to perform is just constantly asking for feedback from my managers, which they happily provided. And the faster I acted on the feedback, the more I could learn. And really, just the more you learn and the more you sort of understand the workplace, the easier these things just go through. So I would strongly suggest that if you are joining a company and this is sort of your first time doing anything corporate, just constantly ask for feedback, since no one's going to expect you to join and be a corporate killer at the start. It's just something you pick up actually towards the end. So that was my PwC internship, and then the second year was when I had to apply for summers in the UK itself. So, initially it was very, very hard, of course, applying for jobs. The job market is always super tough. I'm sure some people in the chat know that. And again, it's just having to apply for jobs and study at the same time to make sure my grades don't slip and I still get a summer internship is something which is quite stressful, since you need to invest a lot of time in your CV and your cover letter and things like that. But again, like I said before, the best way to manage this is just make an Excel. So if I have an exam coming up, prioritize that, map out when I'm going to do what, map out when I'm going to improve my CV, when I'm going to apply for which jobs. And just a general rule of thumb is that I would strongly suggest anyone applying for jobs anywhere in the UK, India, or the US or anything, you should really apply on the day or like within a week of it coming out. At least the corporate and investment banking, that's how that works, since after sort of a week of the job being out, they already have too many applicants. So the earlier you apply for these things, the better chance you have of actually getting it. And then obviously if you actually get a job in a summer, then your stress automatically goes down a lot. So that's just one tip I would give for applying for sort of these finance and banking roles, is just apply as early as you possibly can. And yeah, so initially, again, like I said, I was having a lot of rejections, but then towards the end, I started getting a lot more success. I ended up getting offers from EY for the M&A division, and then also this company called Parameter Solutions, which is a derivatives trading platform, and then obviously Scotiabank as well for their corporate and investment banking division, which I ended up choosing in their corporate banking team. So yeah, so that was my experience of applying for jobs and how I dealt with the stress of that. Obviously, the first offer I got relieved my stress a lot, and then the next one started to follow through because I was less stressed. And again, that's just one small tip that it's easier said than done, but try and be as less stressed as possible, because whenever you go for these interviews and you're stressed, your voice is always a little bit shaky. You're slightly sweaty and you can't really focus on the proper answers. Like I did notice in the first few interviews I did, I was a bit stressed, and like the answers, which was super easy, I just did not get at the start because I was just stressed and my brain was clogged. But yeah, just be as, I guess, calm as possible. Easier said than done, but just try your best to do that. And then the next thing and the final thing I'll talk about is how I actually converted the job itself. So just a bit of background. There were 4 interns in my team. And if I'm not wrong, I think only half of us convert to the job. So you're sort of competing against the other interns in a sense. And it's a 10-week internship, and you have to constantly perform at a high level to convert it into the job. And I guess now I'll just talk about how I did that and how I dealt with the stress of like having this on my mind that I need to convert. So the first few weeks I started, it was a bit shaky because again, it was, a corporate environment in London I found was really different to one in India. So I had to adjust again. And the work this time at Scotiabank was a lot more technical than it was at PwC. So I had to learn a lot more skills on the way as well. And just in general, one more thing I also had to do was constantly network with the managing directors, associates, and the other analysts, because you had to get your name around in these banks in order for them to actually vouch for you when they do the final talk of which interns they want as a full-time worker. So, again, I'm saying it again, but the best way to do this is just make a timetable and just jot it. Don't even have to be a timetable. Just get a notebook and just write a few things down of what you want to accomplish in the week. Making sure that you don't plan too far ahead, since things change and it might be a bit frustrating if you make a whole schedule and then that changes. So again, so I guess I'll talk about the networking thing. I just messaged them on Teams saying, hey, can I talk to you? And one more thing, just a general tip about banks is whenever you do arrange a coffee chat with someone senior, it's always good to prepare before. One thing they really don't like is if you just come in there with no preparation whatsoever and no questions ready and no notebook to take notes. So, I prepared about an hour for every coffee chat I had to ask them some genuine questions, which I wanted to learn about them, their experience, or just the banking industry in general. So that's how I did the networking. And then in terms of the work, again, very similar to PwC, taking feedback helped me a lot, since initially, again, my work was okay, but there were some mistakes in it. So I took some advice from my line manager, And he told me what to improve. And one more thing in general, not just about banks, I'm sure this is applicable across all industries, is that people senior to you, they don't expect you to be perfect at the start, but if they have to tell you something twice, that's when they get slightly annoyed. So you really should act on it immediately if they give you some advice, and take that feedback on immediately. Since at the end of my internship, they said one of the things they liked about me the most was that I immediately took on feedback. So just bear that in mind when you go to any, it doesn't even have to be work. I'm sure teachers probably think the same thing as well. It's just feedback is the most important thing, and you need to constantly integrate that into whatever work or studies you're doing. So yeah, that's how my work improves. And then the final thing I'll just talk about is how I dealt with the long hours. So comparatively, Scotiabank didn't have as long hours as some other banks. It was maybe like sort of 12-hour work days I had, which is not too bad. I got in at 8:30 a.m. and I left at about 8:30 p.m. So I guess the hours weren't too hard, but they were obviously longer than school hours. So and the way I dealt with that is I personally don't really mind the long hours, so it didn't stress me out too much. Since I was still able to get on most days 8 hours of sleep. There were some days I had to stay back till midnight and things like that, but that was quite rare, honestly. So the way I dealt with the stress of the long hours is honestly just fill myself up, fill up my schedule with things to do. Since initially the long hours, sometimes I had periods where like I was a bit confused on what to do. So fill yourself up with work and things to do, so that the whole thing just flies by without you even realizing it. And that's how I dealt with the long hours. And yeah, that's my speech. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahan. I'm going to ask you my first question, Ahan. I think what you said kind of is linked with the earlier speakers, where you said, when you're at workplace, you need to take feedback very seriously. And a first time feedback is a feedback. Next time it's an annoyance if you are not prepared. I think that is a very important take home for all our participants. I think the second thing that you said was again very important, even though this is an intercollegiate, awareness program on stress. But I like your take home, which says that don't stress yourself. Stress, you forget what you want to say, and maybe that gives a poorer side of yourself. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you gave your personal disclosure that you've had those occasions where you did get stressed out, and then you just realize that you need to work on that. So I think that's very important for all our participants to understand that it's going to happen, but you just have to master the control, when you're in front of others. And I love the number of times you said have an Excel. So since I'm not a Gen X or an Alpha person, I prefer going with the notebook. And I love that idea. And I always tell my students that take a notebook, write down the points, plan it, because that's really important. So thank you so much for your inputs. Over to the audience for the questions. Thank you, Ahan.
Thanks. So should I just read them off the chat?
Yeah, if you can just read, I can see a question.
Okay,
Can you take the question in the chat? I think you can unmute the others if they want to ask a question. Noor, can you unmute the others if they want to ask a question?
Will do, ma'am. Any questions, please, you can ask.
Should I read off the first one I'm seeing in the chat?
Yes, please go ahead.
Sure.
From S.H.National. So he says, I have got an internship in Citadel, quant trader, but it's too much pressure on me, the whole workload. How do I manage that? So first of all, massive congratulations for getting that internship. I know Citadel quant is like one of the most competitive things in finance. So really good job for getting that. And so you're saying that the pressure is too much on you and the whole workload. How do you manage that? So, I mean, I guess something you don't want to do is going up to your line manager and saying that it's too much pressure for me, because they probably will just see you in a slightly worse light. maybe if you're taking on too much work from them and taking on additional tasks, you could always just say that, my bandwidth is full at the moment and I'll finish the task I have at the moment and then get to the next one's next. But yeah, I completely understand that your workload must be quite intense since it's at Citadel, but I think the best way to deal with that probably is just through time management, and easier said than done since I'm sure your whole day is very packed. But maybe you could cut down on a few other things. Like, for example, if you go to the gym for an hour, maybe you could go for half an hour instead and just do a faster workout, or try to see if there's other aspects in your life where you can cut down the time. And at the end of the day, if it is too much pressure and it's not something you enjoy, then it's not something you have to do. Since it's an internship, you always have the choice to change your career path. And since you have an internship at Citadel, I'm sure you can always find something else as well. So my best advice, I guess, would just be like, try your best, and if it doesn't work, then just try something new. Cool.
Okay, anyone else? Any other questions for Ahan?
There's another question in the chat box, sir. You can just read it out.
Yes. How did you deal with, so this is from Ramsha. How did you deal with home stress? I mean, do you take it at your workplace? So how do I deal with my home stress? I guess, well, during my internship, I had a really nice flatmate, and he was very generous in sort of taking care of a lot of the home stress that I had. I had to do a lot of bills and things, and my flatmate was very happy to just do them for me since he knew I was doing an internship. It was, again, very nice of him, and I understand that a lot of the times he might not have a flatmate as nice as mine, I guess. So the way I would deal with that, again, is just maybe do the home stuff on the weekend. But I would strongly suggest that if you do have an internship, focus everything you have on that and deal with the home stress later, I guess, because the most important thing, I guess, is to just convert it. So, yeah, thanks for the question. There's some more.
Any other? Noor, you want to read out the question, or Yuti, you want to read out one or two questions?
So there's a question from Aisha Khan, and she wants to ask you that which language is essential to know other than English to work in UK?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. So unfortunately, the only non-Indian language I know is English. Obviously, it's beneficial if you know the ones I know that banks really like is Italian, French, German as well, and to some extent Japanese, because Japanese banks are a huge. Sorry, again, to work in the UK, the only ones I'm assuming is for banks, because that's the only thing I have experience with. Just in general, if you know English, is more than good enough, since everyone in the UK will speak it. And I just mean, if you want to get any additional languages to learn, specifically for finance, then I would strongly suggest Italian, French, German, which by the way, I know none of. So it's not necessary to have these things, but if you do have them, it's a bonus, since there are specific internships in our cycles which you can only apply to if you have these languages known. So, yeah.
There's a question on our YouTube stream. So the question is that how did you deal with personal life stressors in UK, being alone and independent? What were your coping mechanisms?
I guess my best coping mechanism was just having friends. It's always nice to just go out whenever you're stressed with them, and like I said, it's one of those things where being lonely is obviously something which is very difficult if you're in a new country. So I would just strongly suggest reaching out and establishing a social circle as soon as you can. And once you do that, you'll just notice that the stress of being alone is no longer there. Since obviously I miss my family and stuff a lot, but having friends definitely softens the blow quite a bit. So that's just how I would deal with that.
Thank you so much, Ahan, for accepting our invite. We are aware that you were busy with an exams, and you've still accepted our invite and so promptly joined us. Thank you for your inputs. And I think a lot of our students who are, UCL is a great college, and I think there are a lot of aspirants who want to go in for maths, economics, for doing their majors. And I think you've given a very clear picture of, how to handle academics prior to applying, how you need to work on your grades and you don't just wake up one night. And I think that's a very good message for my son, who believes in snoozing most of the time, but I think that's very important. And then, of course, the entire preparation and then the looking out for internship. So you've given a very clear picture how to balance it out, and the best wrapping paper that you've given is that your friends were great social support. Because, when students do go abroad, the initial week is the pizzas and the burgers, but then you start missing your mom when it comes to the laundry, and when it comes to every other thing, you miss your home. So that's a good thing, that you need to have good, strong, supportive friends who keep you at bay. Thank you once again on behalf of RDNC College and Department of Psychology for accepting our invite, and thank you so much.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Now Shravani will introduce the next speaker. Thank you so much, sir.
Our next speaker for the day is Mr. Rushil Keraplani. Rushil Keraplani is a student of Skill Shakti Community, Mumbai, where he is doing a program of building life skills and employability skills. He is a certified gym trainer, is passionate about creating art and pursuing graphic design. He has his own freelance Instagram business page where he showcases and sells his art and design. Rushil is a champion role model for neurodiversity, and he has successfully completed 3 diverse internships. Here's Rushil. We are excited to hear what you have to say.
Welcome on board, Rushil.
Yeah. Can you turn the screen share on, please, for him?
Noor, can you please give him the permit?
You have the permission to share the screen.
Okay, thank you. It's like there.
Hi, I'm Rushil Kirpalani. I'm a student at Skill Shakti Community, where I'm learning life and employability skills. I'm also a certified fitness trainer, and I have a pet dog named Mojo, who I like to call my Divana. He is a big part of my life. I'm an advocate for neurodiversity. Please have a look at this photo. You can see me cuddling my Jan Mojo. I feel he always looks after me. What having autism means for me. My personal journey. What having autism means to me. I believe that autism isn't a medical condition. It's just that my brain is wired in a unique way. Being autistic means I'm a visual learner and a different thinker. I look for hidden cues, and I often see things that others might not notice. Please have a look at this photo. I see my autism as a strength and not as a weakness. This photo shows my drawing from expressive art session, and it's called Be Your Own Strength. My personal journey. When I was in school,
So sorry to interrupt, but we are still only able to see the first slide.
Can you see it now?
No, the screen sharing is not happening. It's just the first slide.
Okay, would you like to take over from your screen then? I don't know why it's not.
Yes, Aliza, can you share the screen? Maybe we can start with the third slide.
You can start from the second or third slide. Sorry about that.
Maybe
Yes,
We
ma'am. Let
can
me just
start
try.
with we'll start with the third slide.
Thank you for letting us know.
Thank you, Rishi. We'll start with the third slide.
Yes. My personal journey. When I was in school,
Should he go ahead, ma'am?
Yes, please go ahead.
when I was in school, being a different kind of thinker meant people didn't always understand me. I was often bullied because I seemed different from others, students, and that made me feel annoyed and frustrated. During this time, I also lost my father, who I was very close to. To cope, I turned to fitness and art. Going to the gym every day improved my mood, and art became a way for me to express myself better. A turning point, joining Skill Shakti community. In 2020, I joined Skill Shakti community, and that was a real turning point in my life. At Skill Shakti community, I received coaching on practical skills to lead a fulfilled life. For example, I learned money and time management, digital skills, and how to become work ready. For example, I learned Canva skills, Google Suite, Instagram, and video editing on InShot. I've also learned to use ChatGPT effectively, and it's a lot of fun.
You should ask them if they can see your screen.
Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
it's
you can.
Most importantly, I found friends who understand me, and we support each other and go out with each other to have fun. I discovered I love graphic design and that this might be a career path for me. Here is a photo of me chilling with my buddies in the Skill Shakti community lounge after an intense skilling session. My first internship, S&M Designs. I started practicing Canva skills and kept improving until I felt confident. My hard work led to my first internship at S&M Designs, where I got a chance to use my Canva skills for real projects. My mentor Shirin ma'am taught me a lot and supported me, which boosted my confidence. Thanks to this experience, I realized I could contribute my skills to real projects, and I felt proud of my work. This photo shows Shirin ma'am, my boss from S&M Designs, guiding me and giving me instructions for the task. My second internship, Autocar India. With my skills growing, I took on a new challenge, an internship with Autocar India, Haymarket Group, working in their social media department. At Autocar, I made collages and Instagram posts on Canva, learning to follow client briefs and instructions from my boss. This was my first experience in a busy professional workspace, and I learned about what it's like to work in an international office. Creatives I made at Autocar India. Here is some of my work I created at Autocar India using my Canva skills. I had to download images from Gmail and upload them on Canva. I had to use a different font for the caption. Learnings from Autocar India. Once I learned one skill I learned at Autocar was to be proactive. If I finished my tasks early, I would email my supervisor and politely ask for more work. This helped me practice my business communication skills and made me feel more comfortable in the workplace. Here's a photo from my very first day as an intern at Autocar India. You can see how excited I am. I kept a time log of all my tasks. At the end of my 3-month internship, I provided a report to show the company everything I had done. I am proud to share that Autocar India gave me a glowing letter of recommendation. Here's a photo. Here is a picture we took on Diwali with my amazing boss, Mr. Hormuz Sorabji, and a colleague. My third internship, hotel president at Trattoria Skill Shakti community, got me an opportunity to work at Hotel President Trattoria restaurant. I grabbed it with pride and confidence. I had a formal interview with the general manager, Mr. Afzal Khan. Here's a picture of me interacting with my supervisors at Trattoria. I learned a lot by observing them at work. Mr. Afzal Khan offered me the internship with one condition. I would need to shave off my beard and mustache, as it was a part of my identity. Here is a before and after picture of me. I felt sad that my beard and mustache had to go, but was looking forward to a new experience. I decided to just go for it, knowing that this experience would help me grow. At Trattoria, I worked in the F&B department where I learned how to lay tables, clear tables, and work in a team. I interacted with the guests and packed orders for deliveries, which taught me that in hospitality, the customer is king. Here's me packing a delivery order at Trattoria during peak hours. I learned to work with a wide variety of people, from young children to elderly guests, during both busy and quiet times. Autistic people can have sensory issues, but luckily I was able to manage the busy and crowded environment well. This experience helped me to build my flexibility and taught me to adapt to different situations even when they were challenging. Starting my freelance journey at Rushil Creators. Through Skill Shakti community, I learned that if you have a skill, you should know how to monetize it. I decided to start my own Instagram page where I show at the rate Rushil Creatives, where I showcase my artwork and designs. On my page, I feature designs that can be used for shirts, scarves, and other clothing. Please do check it out. Please have a look at me in my very own creations. I made this artwork at Skill Shakti community and had it printed onto a shirt. Here is my original artwork. I like to paint in a surreal style, and often many of my original artworks are based on dreams that I've had. This painting is called Sunflower in the Rain, and the other one is called Blue Monkey God. When I paint, I feel ecstatic. Did you notice the palm painting? I did this also in an expressive art session at Skill Shakti community. I thought of getting it printed on shirts and selling them. I love seeing my artwork come to life. My challenges and how I overcame them. Starting in each new environment was a challenge. At first, I found it hard to adjust to the systems and expectations in each place. I learned to take ownership of my work by breaking down tasks and making sure I understood them well. If I didn't understand something, I learned to ask people to explain it slowly. These skills helped me succeed, and I'm proud of how much I grew in my role. My takeaways: embracing my journey. I feel grateful for the support I've received from Skill Shakti community, my mentors, my family, and of course, Mojo. My journey has taught me to stay positive, focused, and open to new opportunities even when things get tough. Here's our most recent group photo from our Diwali bash at Skill Shakti community. We did a medley of songs and performances and had a blast. It was time to relax on the sofa. There is a great movie called Gully Boy. It's about a young man from the slums and how he became a star. If he could do it with all my opportunities, I can do it too. One dialogue by Gully Boy has really inspired me. Apna time aayega. And I feel my time has come. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it inspires you to embrace your own unique journey. Vote of thanks. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Meghana ma'am and Team National College for the chance to present my views at this amazing seminar. It's been wonderful to listen to all the other speakers. They have inspired me. Thank you, Skill Shakti community, my coaches, and my buddies for always being there for me. And thank you to Mojo and my loving family for your guidance and support. Any
Thank you,
questions?
Rushil. Yes,
Anyone will like
before
to
the
ask?
questions pour in, Rushil, I think you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Not too loud.
Rushil, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So, Rushil, I'm going to start off by saying that with beard or without the beard, you are one of the most handsome boy I've met recently. And of course, I have met you before. So I think the beard or no beard, you look awesome. Number one.
Thank you.
Number two, I personally need to take tuition from you on your Canvas skills. Your creatives are excellent. I'm telling you, I cannot believe, your palm shirt, and I'm going to buy one that from your Instagram page. I'm going to order it because I just love the way you have put those your auto car presentation, your Canvas skills that you've shown, in your workplace. I think that's really, really, really awesome. And I know that you have the skills of, your presentation. And the third point that I would say, so well put down, apna din aayega, apna, what is it? What's the
Apna
second
time
one?
aayega.
Apna time
Means my
aayega.
time
And
has
oh
come.
my God, I love that statement. And yes, Rushil, this is your time. You are very, very well placed with your internship. And I really wish that whatever you're really passionate about, you get the world in front because you're going to excel. Your presentation skills, your passion for art, everything is just radiating on your face right now. And I can see your confidence. So thank you so much, Rushil, for accepting our invite in such a short notice. You've done an excellent presentation, so well planned. I was looking at the timing and oh my God, guys, everyone has to hear this. Bang on 20 minutes, bang on. So excellent preparation. And I can see a lot of questions on the live streaming. So we're going to post few questions for you, Rushil. Thank you so much once again.
No
Thank
problem.
you. Can you all just post the questions, Noor and Aliza? So I see one question on the live chat, Rushil. This has been put forward by Shanshri. And her question to you is that how did you personally manage, bullying in school? You said that you used to get angry and
Yes,
frustrated, and you
yes,
did
annoyed and
mention that you went
frustrated.
into gymming. So do you feel that, I know you love, gymming and fitness. So can you just elaborate a little bit on that, how you manage
Yes.
stress with? Yes.
So during my school times, even though I was being bullied by my fellow students at school, I really did not give in to the all the abuses given by the other students. I just had to ignore it and let it go. Did you all hear me?
Yes, we heard you. We heard you. Okay. So you decided to let it go, and you
Yeah.
decided to go to the
Yes.
gym and work out and deal with that. Great. Rishil,
Yes.
I had another question. We saw that you have done 3 excellent internship. Can you give me your experience out of these 3? Which internship do you think that you really enjoyed? And can you give the reason why you really enjoyed that particular one?
Yes, I really enjoyed the internship at Autocar India because for me it was a new experience to work in that environment. And I was a bit stressed out because I have never been to such a big firm which produces car magazines. So it made me motivated to just give it a try for the internship, even though I have no interest in cars. Did you hear me?
Yes, we did.
Yes, darling.
So
Great.
first of all,
Yes.
your
Is there a question?
paintings were really beautiful.
Thank you.
What made you start your own business?
What made me start my own business is I had a mindset that if I am good at Canva, I can have a love for graphic design and I can try out a graphic design internship because this will be a benefit for me to be on that career path.
That's very inspiring, sir. Very good.
So there's another question from Abid Siddiqui, and she wants to ask you that how art has helped you deal with stress, and also any specific art piece that you like the most.
Please, can you repeat the question?
How art has helped you deal with stress, and any specific art piece that you like the most.
You deal with stress and any specific art piece that you like, any art that you like or you're inspired by.
Yes. When I used to learn about art, we used to learn about a different type of, I used to learn about a different type of art called surrealism. And this really inspired me to make surreal paintings. Out of the blues, I had a dream that, for example, I had a speech bubble in my mind that blue monkeys exist in my dream, even though they are not real. So having this dream inspired me to make a blue monkey god painting.
And how did art help you beat stress?
Art helped me beat stress because whenever I was feeling negative, I would always I would always find a way to cope with that stress by either painting on a canvas board, anything I like to paint, and it was out of the blues. And if I was very nervous, I would really draw something on piece of paper, and I would use colors to express my feelings.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
sir.
sir.
Your work, it must definitely be hard to establish yourself in such a competitive field such as art. Your accomplishments and achievements are truly inspiring. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Now I move on to Shravani to introduce the next speaker.
Thank you, Rishi. Once
Thank
again,
you.
on behalf of Department of Psychology, RD College, thank you so much, Rishi, for sharing your experience, your passion, your resilience, and your hard work and your skills. Thank you, Sangeeta.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
for training him so well. It's a pleasure to have you on board. Thank you, Rishi.
Thank you.
Over to you, Lisa.
Our next speaker for the day is Dr. Sakhi Bansali. She is a dedicated resident physician in the US with aspirations to specialize in neurology. Her passion for patient care is matched by a strong commitment to global health initiatives where she actively seeks to address healthcare disparities on a broader scale. Driven by both curiosity and compassion, Dr. Bansali is working toward a future where neurological care is accessible and impactful worldwide. Her journey reflects a blend of clinical expertise and a deep-rooted enthusiasm for advancing health equity. I would like to invite Dr. Bansali for her insights.
Hi everyone, good evening. Sorry, it's a little bit early in the morning over here, so my voice. Okay, all right, good evening everyone. I'm going to try and share my screen. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak and share a little bit about my journey, and I hope it's helpful for anyone on the call. I'll try and keep it brief so that we can have more questions. It's a little difficult to go after the previous speaker. He was so inspiring. I was just looking at all his artwork, but I'll try and be helpful here. Give me 1 second. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to try and see how to make it. Okay. So I've been asked to talk about mindfulness in medicine. And all right. So starting with a little bit about my journey before this, actually, I'm born and raised in Calcutta, India. I did my med school in Calcutta National Medical College, which is one of the government hospitals in Calcutta. I lived with my family, my joint family, which was very tight-knit, my whole life until I was 25. And then I had to move to the US for pursuing my research and residency in the United States. So that was a big shift for me. And it required a lot of changes in my day-to-day life and scheduling. And I constantly tried to be mindful about all of those changes. And this is just a brief on how I did that, hoping it's helpful for everyone. All right, so why is mindfulness important in medicine? I think when I was thinking about this, I tried to look at some papers and stuff like that, but I think it really helps foster clear thinking and open-heartedness. I think two very primal instincts that any physician or care provider should have. The other thing is, when we misdiagnose people, it's very rarely because of lack of education or lack of knowledge of that particular disease entity. Everything's available on the internet and in the books, right? Most commonly, the reason for misdiagnosis is because of biases, anchoring biases, attrition biases. I am speaking to a crowd of psychologists and psychology trainees, so I don't have to explain what all of these mean, but in a sense, like making snap judgments, stereotyping, anchoring, and other cognitive traps. And that happens when you aren't thinking clearly, and that can lead to misdiagnoses and kind of harm to your patients. And then the last reason why I think mindfulness is important outside of the medical field, at least for me, is to disengage oneself from very strong attachments, beliefs, thoughts, or emotions. I think everything in mediocrity, in a balance, is what I strive for. And being mindful helps me to constantly work towards getting that balance, and not feel too strongly about anything. Always be open to different perspectives. So why is mindfulness specifically important in neurology? So I'm a neurology resident. I'm in my 3rd year of neurology residency. It's a four-year neurology residency. So in 1.5 years, I'm going to become a neurologist. And just seeing neurology patients day in, day out, I think they're very similar to the psychology patients that you all also see. They have a very high symptom burden, from pain, numbness, tingling, mood issues, mobility issues, and very high caregiver issues. The caregivers are also suffering, the patients are also suffering. Recognizing each of these symptoms that can sometimes be very subjective. We're not going to be seeing objective signs on an MRI or objective signs on a lab test, but recognizing that these symptoms are still disabling features that a patient and their caregiver live with day in and day out, and including that in your thought process while you're trying to take care of the patient requires a very clean, clear thinking that's not biased. And I think mindfulness helps me get there. I'm sure you all know, but functional neurological disorders are a very, very common entity. And I think taking care of that patient population is very challenging. And you need to be very clear when you're taking care of them. What you can do, what you can't do, what's outside of the scope of medicine. So you need to set boundaries, and I think having those right boundaries is important, and mindfulness helps me get there. So this is why medicine and neurology, I need my mindfulness, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about how I get there. And it's a constant dynamic process, so I keep adding things to my toolkit, but these are just some things that I do right now. For me, mindfulness is striving towards having good mental health. I think mental health, just like any health, is very dynamic. It comes and goes. Today I can have a good day, tomorrow I can have a bad day. But striving to at least be as healthy as possible, and I can talk a little bit about how I get there. Physical health, I exercise. While I was in India in med school, I don't know if it's still something that's there, but exercise was never stressed upon, even as a med student. Only if you're overweight is when people would ask you to exercise. At least that's what I saw. And it was always just like, yeah, do it if you feel like it. It was never a part of my day-to-day routine. And I realized how unhealthy I had become because of that. And over here, I realized everyone prioritizes their physical health, works out, even if it's for 20 minutes a day, but try and get that workout in. You don't have to run half marathons. I don't run marathons, but I just show up to the gym. I move my body a little bit. I feel good. The endorphins kick in, and then I get out. If that's all I can do on a bad day. And then on a good day, I try a little harder. But it's just important to show up, to make that effort, because physical health really is very, very important. And then the last one is professional health. It's not a common term. I just made up this term. But for me, I think having small, short breaks. I don't like long vacations. I don't get long vacations. But taking a weekend off whenever I can, trying to go for a hike, trying to take one full day off and just catch up with family, talk to them over the phone. I think those were the breaks that I enjoyed, and I felt rejuvenated after more than, taking a 2-week break or 15, 20-day break. So, and I think research shows that as well, to take small, short breaks has better benefits to kind of your mental health. And I think the most important reason, I'm surrounded by people who are burning out. Talking about burnout is important, and we have a lot of seminars about them. And at least for now, I can say that I've escaped burnout so far. I haven't faced it for now. And one of my mentors who knows me in and out, they tell me that the reason why you're not burnt out is, Sakhi, because you have that big picture. And I think in my introduction, someone mentioned that I wanted to do this whole trying to increase access and improve access to neurological care. It's a mammoth task. And every time I feel like, it's getting a little overwhelming, I don't want to do this anymore, I just think about my goal. And my goal is so big that I need to be good enough, and I need to continue to work hard. And I genuinely love what I do. And I'm very, very lucky to be doing what I do. So just an advice, a recommendation that please do what you love, because every single day can be the best day. And that's what I feel walking into the hospital, because I am solving puzzles day in, day out. And that's what I've always wanted to do. I'm taking care of the best population. It's the neurological population. They're very, very humbling. It's a very humbling group. And I love what I do, and that's why I'm able to do it, and I'm able to do it day in, day out. I'm a workaholic, and I don't see a problem with that because it really does fulfill me and fulfill every moment that I am in the hospital. And these are just a few pictures of my friends in the hospital, having a good time, trying to find a few moments of happiness amidst all the chaos that's in the hospital. Coming to mental health, I think the one thing that I never pursued in India when I was a med student was therapy, psychotherapy. And while I was in the US, I was alone. I dealt with a lot of losing my family back home, family falling sick back home. And because you're the only doctor in the family, you constantly kind of have to deal with what to do, what next to do. And that can take a toll when you're making these decisions for your family members. And in general, when you're so far away from family. I started doing therapy. I started speaking to a therapist. We would do virtual sessions. And it would be like on an as needed basis. And it really helped me. At first, I was hesitant. I felt like I didn't need it because I wasn't obviously clinically depressed or clinically having an anxiety syndrome or anything like that, but I needed help, and I didn't feel shy to ask for it. So if you need to call and talk to a friend, or you need professional help, I think please do it. It gets all of us. It gets to all of us, and you can only get out of it stronger. The other thing is I developed really healthy hobbies right from my med school time. I sing Indian classical music, and I try and read outside of medicine as well. And those hobbies really helped me kind of disengage from my work on a day-to-day basis and kind of engross my mind in something else. And so I would recommend everyone to have a hobby and really pursue it. Again, same thing with music as well. I do weekly music classes with my teacher back in India. And there are some weeks where I don't have time to do my riyaz. I just can't, I don't have time. But I still show up for that class and I sing terribly. And my teacher's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you're not singing well. And I'm like, I didn't have time. I'm just singing what I feel like. And it's okay. You just have to show up. And that's what I do. And that's the only way I've been able to maintain it, to just show up. And the most important thing for me was my support system and spirituality, I think, for my mental health. There's a temple over here, and I'm spiritual, and I always try and go to the temple and just 10-15 minutes of meditation, if possible. Think about how my day was, what I did right, what I did wrong, what I could have done better. Introspect, I think really helps. It grounds you, it humbles me. And in a field with like medicine where everyone is high on knowledge, and there's a hierarchy system, and everyone's trying to get on top of everyone, and taking few moments in the day to realize that who you're taking care of, your patients, and the debility that they're suffering from, and understanding that, keeping them at the center of your focus and not your next degree or next job, grounds you, humbles you, and reminds you of why you're doing what you're doing. And that helps me. And my support system, which is my family, and this is just a picture of my family. We just took a recent trip to one of the national parks here, and it was a weekend trip, and we had a lot of fun. And I took my first trip with my parents after high school. I was never able to travel with them because of my MBBS and all of this stuff. So it's almost 10 years, and we took a trip finally, and I felt really good. I was driving my dad around instead of the other way around, and it was great fun. So try and be mindful of your support system. You should be able to support them as well, and then they're going to be able to support you. I think my parents are my best friends, and they reach out to me if they need any help, and I reach out to them if I do, and we're almost friends now. So yeah, so be keep your support system tight-knit. And then there's fall. It's fall season right now in Cleveland. So I try and go for walks. It's beautiful. So try and find that nearby park. Just go outside. That helped me as well. I think those were the things that I do for my mental health and my mindfulness. I'm happy to take any questions if I can help anyone. That's about it.
Hi,
Thank you.
Sakhi. Before the questions all flood in, thank you so much for once again accepting our invite. It's early morning there, and in your kind of busy schedule, I understand you have calls, overnight calls in the hospital, and you still have that radiated smile on your face. And thank you for sharing your take home messages for our students. And I think what you said so well connects with the earlier speakers. When you say that exercise and walk, in India, the perspective of health is only looked at for obese people. But when you look at, workplace balance with some kind of physical activity, which our first speaker spoke about, the lawyer, and right through and through, whether it's gym, whether it's walk, whether it's being with nature. Secondly, I think you also, connected well when you say have a hobby and pursue a career that you really are passionate about. Don't do what is trending, but do what you love, because that's what you do best. And I completely know, I've had you on board over several sessions earlier, and I know how passionate you are. I think, Sakhi, you've been studying for the last 10 years now. 5 years of MBBS and 3 years or 4 years now?
Yeah, 12, yeah.
And
10,
you
12.
haven't, and when you said that I haven't burnt out yet, that's only because of your passion, that's because you love what you do. And I think the last very important message in summarization is your support system. Like you said, your parents, we saw the picture with the holiday, your friends at workplace, we all need them. So, it's very important to hold on those few people who strengthen your resilience, and it just goes on things. So thank you. I think it was an excellent short presentation from a very, very well-trained doctor, and we all know how stressful medical field could be, and especially with ailing patients, and how they take it out on doctors. To maintain your calm, with your classical music, with your meditation, etc. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, Dr. Sakhi. And over to the students if there are any questions.
So Sakshi is asking if how do you set boundaries between work and personal life?
Okay. I think this is it's a very subjective question. I think for me, I can talk about myself. I live alone over here. I don't really have, I come back home and I work. So I don't really have a boundary between my work and my professional life. And I've never really had one, even when I was in India. It's just that in that moment, when I am getting a text or a page about a patient who needs me, and I'm watching TV or like whatever, I think for me, that patient takes priority. In that moment, if I'm in front of a family member who needs me more at that moment, I take that decision in that moment. I don't switch off my phone. I don't keep it somewhere so that I don't see it. That hasn't worked for me. And so I think if you're in tune enough to understand in that moment what needs to happen for you, that's balance for me. I honestly don't separate, at least for me, again, medicine for me was more like a part of life. It's just a way of life. I don't think about it as work. I think about it as a way of living, and so it's very much entwined. Sorry, I wish I could help.
There's a question from Roxanne. She's asking, how do you overcome a burnout situation independently without anyone's support?
It depends on how bad it is. I think if you do not have your own social support system and you are very burnt out, I would definitely recommend getting professional help. When your mind is not able to think and help yourself, then you need to talk to a professional who is able to do that. Otherwise, I think if it's like a minor, you're going through a few rough days and you're going to get out of it if you know yourself that well. I've gone through that, like where I've like, okay, I'm a little sad, but I know I'm going to get out of it. I work out. I eat good food. I try and work less. I watch some funny TV stuff that I know that it's going to make me laugh, and most importantly, remind yourself about why you're doing what you're doing. So if you're burnt out studying for an exam, try and watch, and I did that, try and watch an inspiring series or read an inspiring book on someone who's like finished that exam and is like doing very well in life. That bigger picture, that perspective will maybe remind you why you were doing what you were doing, and just keep you moving forward.
Ma'am, there's a question from Muskan. She wants to ask you that. What's your go-to spiritual exercise to help you ground yourself?
Great question. For me, it was very easily available. I'm a practicing Jain, so it's very similar to Buddhism. And if you all know Jainism or Buddhism, I think the most important part in that is non-violence, and the other valuable trait in that is every kind of soul is equal to your soul. The question was about being grounded, right? How do you practice that? Yeah, so I think being around all the hoity-toity doctors around me, everyone thinks they're the smartest, everyone thinks they know better, and they probably do, but I just try and ground myself by knowing that every soul is kind of equal. Just please take a step back, don't get so hot in your head, and in the end, think about that patient, think about why you're doing what you're doing. It's not for yourself, it's not for your ego. So that helps me.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was very inspiring to know all your experiences and insights. We also got a new insight about how we must take care of all three aspects of health, physiological, mental, and professional health. So thank you so much for your insights. Thank you very much.
Elisa. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sakhi, once again. Thank you for accepting our invite. Thank you.
Moving on to the next speaker. Vivan Talreja is an ambitious IGCSE student at Podar International School, known for his exceptional talents in maths and economics. Vivan combines his academic strengths with a strong entrepreneurial spirit and a love for sports. He is the founder of Pickle Point, where he channels his passion into organizing exciting pickleball tournaments and promoting the sport's growth and popularity. We look forward to hearing your perspective on this matter, sir.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for that lovely introduction. So I am a student at Podar International School. Very proud of that. I'm still pursuing my IGCSE board exams. So I'm here to talk to you about something that the rest of the speakers have covered up, stress. So I'm gonna try and keep it a bit short today because many of them have already covered the topic. So let me take this moment and share a few of my personal stories of my board exams, which are yet ongoing. Just a few left. So I was studying like my life actually depended on it. But here's the kicker. I decided to give my boards a bit earlier than everyone else. Yep, I thought, why not jump into the stress pool before everyone else? I felt like the student that was in the roller coaster ride and everyone else was just waiting back there in the line. So let me tell you, the ride was bumpy with books piled high like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I could feel stress creeping in like that cat trying to sneak up a laser pointer. My study plan was quite intense. I had flashcards, highlighters, and enough caffeine to actually fuel up a small village probably. But despite all of that, I felt like I was preparing for the Hunger Games instead of my board exams. So let me move on to the first thing that I would like to cover up in my oration today. To stay organized and focused during my board exam preparation, I created some sort of a mini calendar that outlined my daily schedule in detail. Each morning, I would probably map out what I needed to accomplish, breaking down my study sessions into manageable chunks for each subject. I think that really helped me a lot. I allocated specific time slots for reviewing topics, practicing past papers, and of course, taking breaks because let's be honest, every superhero needs a snack. Um, so this visual timeline kept me accountable and helped me stick to my plan, reducing the chaos and making my study time feel more purposeful. With everything laid out in front of me, I could track my progress, celebrate small victories, and approach my exams with confidence, knowing that I had a roadmap to success. So moving on to a bit of the stress busters that really helped me in my life. I think my dad, he had a wonderful plan, probably just going to Carter Road on the weekends. At first, I thought of that as a way to distract me and find out some crucial bonding time. But then I actually realized the importance of it. Like with the wind in my hair, I realized that sometimes, you just need to hit the pause button on life. It was like finding Wi-Fi in the middle of nowhere. Total relief. So we blasted our favorite tunes and enjoyed the view. And for those couple of hours, my stress was replaced. I mean, it was completely gone. So after our drives, I'd retreat to my room. It's like a sanctuary filled with posters, snacks, and enough video games to like host a tournament in my own house. So alone in my space, I'd probably reflect on life, my goals, and whether my plant was actually living or not, or whether pineapple actually belonged on pizza. So this me time actually helped me a lot. So I discovered that being alone with your thoughts can um, be a game changer, kind of like a mental spring cleaning, just clearing out the junk and making room for fresh ideas. So now let me also share a bit of a crucial decision that I had to take. It was starting my own business, a pickleball company called Pickle Point, as mentioned earlier. So no, it's not about pickles, it's about pickleball. Yes, it sounds like a sport, a mix between tennis and a food fight. Starting a business, talk about stress. I was worried, like completely, like whether people would actually sign up for my tournament or whether it would just be my motivating parents that would register for it just to like support me over there. So at first I was extremely nervous. I imagined the opening day to be like a horror story. No one over there, just me standing with my paddles and balls and crickets chirping in the background. But then I realized that stress isn't going to actually help me play the game. So I took a deep breath, let it simmer, and guess what? People actually showed up. So my learning and key takeaway from this whole experience was that sometimes, patience just needs to play the game. Just wait a bit, take a few educated decisions, and it can play well. So now, whether if you're dealing with stress from school, friends, family, or even your girlfriend or boyfriend who may or may not be giving you mixed signals, here are some tips I've picked up. Talk it out. As the other speakers mentioned, seriously, spilling out your thoughts to someone is like hitting the reset button. Late night talks with friends can cover everything from school stress to or college stress in your way to relationship drama. Trust me, nothing feels better than hearing I'm stressed and hearing the opposite person saying same in response. The second tip that I noticed would be find your escape route. Whether it's a drive to Carter Road or a stroll through your neighborhood, find what helps you recharge. Everyone needs that happy place. Mine just happens to be a moving car and an ocean breeze. Take risks. If you're worried about starting something new, just go for it. I took the leap with Pickle Point, and even though it stressed me out, it turned out to be a blast. Plus, you get to tell people that you're running a pickleball company, and that's a great conversation starter, in my opinion. I mean, which 15-year-old actually starts a business? Stay active. As the previous speaker spoke about, physical activity can seriously help with stress, whether it's playing sports like pickleball, dancing like no one's watching, or even just cycling. Just get moving. The last and final tip, which I believe has been most effective for me as an individual, is breathe. I know it might sound simple, but when you feel overwhelmed in any kind of situation, just stop over there for a second and probably just take a deep breath. It can actually help you to cool down, and it's a great excuse to look cool when you're trying to chill out. As I wrap this up, remember that stress is a part of life, but it doesn't have to run the show. Whether you're cruising to your favorite spot, launching a business, or chatting with a friend, finding balance is key. Take time for yourself, speak your mind, and most importantly, don't forget to enjoy the ride because life's too short to be stressed all the time. Thank you all for listening, and may your stress be as light as a feather and you find your equilibrium in life.
Thank you so much, Vivansh. At the age of 15, I think those tips that you gave us, we all really need to, we need to resonate with what you say. And I completely agree with a 15-year-old at home. I completely understand that, what you said really makes sense. And I think from your bit, that we connect with what others have said, you found an outlet, and you felt that having a sport, having going out with your dad to Carter Road, and of course taking those breaks really helped you deal with the exam pressure, because whatever said and done, you're, I think, appearing for your grade 10. It is a stressful period for a lot of students, participants today, whether that's the 10th or the third year college graduating. So your point and your tip that I think we participants can take is that, take the leap, take the risk like he did. But you still, you need to manage it well, because, at the age of 15, I think a huge round of applause for Vivan. If he, his successful business entrepreneurship of pickle ball, right? You said pickle balling. Yes. Okay. So I understood that not as pickle. Yes, but I'm not much of a sports person, but I think it's something new in India, definitely new in Mumbai, and having an idea, in midst of all the exam stress, I think that's a great, contribution to the sports, people who are interested in sports. So thank you so much. I will hand over the platform to the students to ask the questions. But thank you for taking time out, Vivan. I understand that you're giving the exams right now, and for taking this time, preparing and doing such an excellent job on board. Thank you. We really appreciate you accepting our invite. So over to you, Aliza, for the questions.
Okay, so there's a question from Janvi. She's asking, what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs facing imposter syndrome, especially in environments where social and academic pressures are high?
No, so maybe you can just explain what is imposter syndrome a little, so that it just becomes easy for the other participants also to understand. You can just explain what the question is a little clearer.
Okay, so imposter syndrome basically is when you pretend to be all right when you're not. You feel that others expect something of you which you're not actually are. So that's what imposter syndrome is. So how do you deal with that as a young entrepreneur yourself?
Okay, so
The unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, that's the first thing I would say, set realistic expectations. I think that's extremely crucial. What I did, if people expect something from you, I think you need to try and set your priorities right. List what's extremely important to you. Avoid the drama and just believe. If you believe that you're going to be successful in, then just take that leap and go one step forward and achieve your goals. I mean, you should be confident about it, and you should just keep all the haters away. I mean, it's a part of life. You have to deal with it. So just take that important leap in life and just be confident and be courageous to take that decision yourself.
I think that's a very important input for all our participants, that You're not going to have, like Vivan just said, that you're not going to have always people talking, oh my God, you're so nice and you're so good. You will have people who will probably be jealous of you, people who will hate you, but you just need to do your bit. You contribute, you do your bit, you take your risk. You can't live to everyone else's expectation. You set goals for yourself and you live up to those. And that's, I think, what exactly Vivan has done. He has set a goal at such a young age to start something. He has set a goal to leap into exams, full-headed, when others are still relaxing and waiting in queue. So he's just decided to maintain a balance. So I think that's a very important take home from Vivan's point. Thank you, Vivan, on that.
Yeah.
Next question.
So a question from Abdul. He is asking, how do you balance being a student and your business? How do you keep the balance between both?
So I think I really have my days quite planned well. I think I segregate a few hours towards my studies, and I also set a few hours for my business. So what I do is, if I really have a lot of exams, I give a break to my studies. Actually, I have 3 partners in my business, so it's quite flexible to work like that, because when you're busy, somebody else takes over and ensures that the task is completed. So that's how it works in my way.
Vivan, you sound like a pro businessman, and I think, we've heard of partnership and all that, but that's so well and so cool, well answered, that, you're busy and then you have your partners take on, and when you're done, your head's on in again. Lovely. Okay, I see a question on the live streaming. This is a question from UP. Vivan, what is your future career goal?
Okay, so my future career goals are, of course, I do have a passion for data science and I would like to pursue that in the future. But alongside with that, I think it's very important that I address a few goals of mine, such as setting up a few more businesses as well as growing Pickle Point. I mean, pickleball is relatively new in India and it will reach a lot of skies in the years to come. So I want to like keep my options open and try and keep my entrepreneurship like skill alive, and also to take over new challenges and go ahead with a few new business ideas as well.
I have a question. How do you handle setbacks or like failures from your business, but then you're simultaneously also giving your boards? So
Okay.
how do you manage that?
So there were a few setbacks during my business. So the first time I hosted the tournament was this May actually. So I did have a few people that believed that it was not gonna, actually catch up. Probably no one would turn up and all of that. But you know what? I just gave it some time. I think patience played the key role in the full journey of mine, and it actually did work out for me. So during getting to your second part of the question, how do I manage boards as well as this business? So recently, since I have my boards during this October and November, I took like 2 months off of that. I did keep providing a few inputs here and there, but not a lot, because I had the other 2 of my partners that were able to carry on. So I did give more attention during these months to my boards because it's quite crucial for me. But and I will be continuing with my business from around November mid after my boards are over.
Yeah, so I think once again the key word here that he said, and a lot of other students have speakers have said that before earlier prior, and that key word I think there is patience. You don't have to get everything on the table at the same time, and life is not running out. You have your time, you enjoy it, and I think he's balancing it very well. And I'm sure many of you can resonate with the confidence with which he speaks. I'm personally nearly 30 years elder to you, and I'm really learning a lot from you, Vivan. I truly see you many times on the road, walking. Recently, I think I did see you walking on the road, and you didn't look stressed. You definitely didn't look, in anxiety. And I think that is the excellent part of your learning and my learning from you, that you maintain a very good balance. You don't get all hyper, and you just stay calm. And I think that is what even Dr. Sakhi said, that, being calm, taking things one at a time, releasing your stress in whichever, way you want. I think that just takes you ahead, and that just takes you, to be more successful. And I love your sentence. I heard Rushil say ki apna din aayega, and I love your sentence, where you say that you want to take in more entrepreneurship projects and you don't want to stop here. So, your hunger for starting new things is, is definitely going to take you ahead. And I wish you all the best, and I hope you success in everything that you venture into. And thank you once again for really making this, session so exciting. If there are any more questions, please go ahead for Vehvan. Otherwise, Aliza, you can formally thank.
Okay, there's a question
Ma'am,
from
just
Muskan.
one last question. Who is like your role model in the business sector that you think that you look up to, international or national, anywhere from like
Vehvan,
the
can
world?
I answer that?
Yeah, sure, you can go ahead.
I think, Vehvan, is it Dr. Vandana Lulla? I don't know, but I think, if anyone wants to Google ma'am down, and you can find out, but she's definitely my role model. The kind of perseverance, patience, dedication, she has taken the entire Podar group to, skies, and what they are achieving every day. And I recently think it's one of the best schools, now ranked as one of the best schools in India and in Mumbai. So I think for me, that would be my role model. I'll let you take that
That's
question.
true. So I actually have two role models in my life. One's my mother. I think her criticism actually helps me to, move forward in life. I think even during my business time, she was like telling me to focus on my studies, telling me to probably allocate more time to that, and also giving me a lot of suggestions during that period. So I think she really helps me to push myself forward and probably actually surpass her expectations and go ahead. And my second role model is, of course, my grandmother, Dr. Mrs. Vandana Lula. I think her determination and, workaholic as well as hardworking spirit actually keeps me going a lot. So yeah, that's my.
Thank you so much, Vehvan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ravan. We commend your bravery and for taking your exams earlier. And we are also very inspired by having seen your achievements at such a young age. It's truly inspired me to work more on my achievements and accomplishments. Thank you so much for your inputs in the seminar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now I would pass the mic to Shravani to deliver the vote of thanks.
As we draw this webinar to a close, we would like to express our deepest gratitude to our distinguished speakers and all participants for their invaluable contributions. I would also like to thank our Head of Department, Professor Dr. Meghana Basu Thakur, for giving us this opportunity to spread awareness on such a vital aspect of our life. Relax your shoulders, unclench your jaw, soften your tongue, breathe. You will be okay. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. A formal thank you to all our speakers for making this 2-hour session absolutely smooth, and giving your inputs. I think a lot of our participants have gained, from your personal experiences. Thank you. This could not have been possible, like I always say, without the TYs. Also to share that they are also midst of the exams and their boats are right in the water, but they put up an excellent job. Thank you, Shravani, and thank you, Aliza. Great comparing technicals. Excellent. Yukti, thank you so much for the poster and the certificates that you all have worked on. And this program would not have been successful without the participants. We've had a very good registration, both on Zoom and live streaming. So thank you very much. Thank you for making this evening so successful. Thank you to the TYs. The certificates will be posted on the WhatsApp group. Allow us a week to do that, maximum a week. And if any student does not receive their certificates, or if there's a spelling error, please get in touch with us and we'll rectify and revert back as soon as possible. Thank you, everyone. Good evening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. You all can leave the meeting.